604, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you, JP producing, getting you started on this Monday morning at 74 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Welcome aboard, y'all. We got a lot of ground to cover this morning. We'll be talking with Our Lady of the Lake about revamping their emergency department. We'll be talking with Central's Mayor Wade Earl about fentanyl, of all things. Everything under the sun with Moo Griffon coming up at the 8 o'clock hour. Then we're going to talk a little carbon capture with State Senator Chuck Owen. He's not a fan. But before we get to any of it, we got to get the top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Well, most of our news coming out of Roseland this morning. Students at Roseland Elementary will be staying home today due to an evacuation order that's still in place following that massive explosion on Friday. Superintendent Melissa Stilley said the elementary school is inside the 1-mile evacuation zone around Smitty's Supply Company in Roseland.
Number 4.
Keeping it in Roseland, where the evacuation order is still in place. Keeping it in Roseland, the evacuation order is still in place following Friday's explosion. Now, the fire is largely contained. In fact, as of last night, the latest word last night was 90% containment on the fire.
Number 3.
One more. You can add an emergency closure of the Tangipahoa River Sunday evening in response to the explosion. The river's closed between Highway 10 and Highway 22, along with any connecting waterways, in an effort to limit activity that might interfere with emergency crews working to contain the same fire.
Number 2.
Bringing it back home, a lot of shooting going on. At least one person was killed, 5 were injured in 5 separate shootings across the capital city yesterday morning. According to BRPD, the first was just before 1 a.m. Man was shot at Broadmoor Plantation Apartments on Florida Boulevard. Around 2 a.m., 2 people were shot at Club Emotions on North Acadian. At almost the same time, BRPD officers responded to a woman at a hospital with non-life-threatening gunshot wound. Police said they later learned she was shot on Highland Road just before 4 a.m. 36-year-old Janique Brown was found dead in the 3400 block of Plank Road with multiple gunshot wounds at around 10:30. I'm sorry, I skipped punctuation here. Let me redo this one. 36-year-old Janique Brown. This happened at 4 a.m. Janique Brown was found dead in the 3400 block of Plank Road with multiple gunshot wounds. Then at around 10:30 a.m., a man was shot on Bellhaven Trace Drive.
Number 1.
No news is good news when it comes to the tropics. Not only is Aaron a thing of the past, so is Fernand. Fernand is turning northward and headed on up into the Atlantic. Not going to be a problem for landfall. Is a tropical storm as of now and likely will remain as such. Maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. Now, there is another disturbance, showers and thunderstorms associated with a tropical wave over the Windward Islands. It's looking like it's scooching across to the Caribbean. It has a 10% chance of becoming a named storm. After that, when you back up across the Atlantic, looking at what's coming off the coast of Africa, nothing. So I'll take it heading into this week of Katrina-versary. What you got, JP?
Well, over the weekend, Russia launched drones and a missile into Ukraine, according to the Ukrainian Air Force.
So talks are going well.
Oh, man.
Why can't these two just get it together? And Russia said that Ukraine was attacking them again as well. So
he said, she said.
Bro, they are just, yeah.
You launched a drone. Well, you launched a missile.
You launched first. They're just back and forth. Man.
Yeah.
I'm expecting the after show with Andy Cohen.
Oof, man. Well, SpaceX postponed Starship's 10th test yesterday. 10th test yesterday, Brian. What's going on? Due to the failure of a critical ground system.
Okay.
Nothing really new here, right? I mean, SpaceX is,
doing amazing things.
They are doing amazing things.
It's just because they're doing them so publicly, it gets, their failures get exacerbated.
That's right.
And oh, by the way, safety protocols should not be considered failures. That's putting people
absolutely.
in space and not being able to get them back or losing them altogether. That's a failure. This is just a move for safety.
Yeah, and let's not overlook. I'm glad you mentioned that too. All the success that SpaceX has had, because this would have been SpaceX 546th launch overall.
Right.
SpaceX 177th launch of 2025. So just this year it would have been the 107th launch.
They're just
Wow.
firing them off every other day.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it would have been the 10th launch this month.
There you go.
It's insane.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Well, good on them for taking the safe route.
That's right. For the first time since Matt Mock, a quarterback will don the coveted number 18 for the LSU Tigers as Garrett Nussmeier gets the honor.
The Nuss Bus getting it. Now, was there a defensive number 18 as well? This is the part that I can't find, JP. And well, let me be honest. I didn't start looking until late last night. But Harold Parkins is going to wear number 7. That's awesome. Nuss has got 18. But sometimes they'll have a second 18 on the defensive side of the ball. So is Whit Weeks going to get an 18 as well?
We'll probably have
all
more
the headlines were about Nuss.
Yeah.
So.
We'll probably have more answers for that even in the 7 o'clock hour as well.
All right.
So.
Let's hope so.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, we're coming up on 6:11 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Ooh, man. I got to remind you about the folks over at Vex European. Sorry, I was keeping one eye on the clock to see if we were going to have enough time for this. I've got to remind you about the folks over at Vex European. You check them out online at vexeuropean.com. Love hitting up my guy Vinny and his team over, because the whole team is so good, right? And I drive an 18-year-old vehicle, and it takes a lot to keep an 18-year-old vehicle moving. And my Mercedes, she hums, baby. It's awesome. And it's because of Vinny and his team. 6265 Benefit Drive. They're in the backside of Industriplex. If you drive a Mercedes, if you drive a BMW, an Audi, a Land Rover, a Jaguar, a Porsche, whatever, they're going to have you covered. In fact, if you go to vexeuropean.com and hit the little vehicles tab, just look for your vehicle. And then while you're there, maybe hit the reviews tab, because you're not going to find a review that's most of them are 5 stars. You might find a 4-star somewhere in there, but you're not going to find many, because you're going to find things like, I don't know, Todd, who tells Google, wanted to give Vinny due credit. I have a 2019 Porsche Cayenne. This thing comes with a ridiculously expensive lithium-ion battery. Vinny saved me easily $1,500 by recharging it when it died at only 3 years after 3 years of use. I mean, it's just little stuff like that. Taking care of you, following you and your vehicle throughout the lifespan of your vehicle. That's what Vinny and his team do. Check them out online at vexeuropean.com. Quick break. Southern football. Oh, man, Southern played on Saturday night. We'll talk about it, and LSU's getting ready for game week. Those are both next. Oh, I've got to pop that commercial in today. Write down that cart number for me, please. I've owed Danny this commercial for over a month now, because I thought it was already in. And this is the only one I keep hearing now. I don't know where the other one went. 6:15, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. It is sports time. Football season is here, y'all. Week 0 is in the books. Your Southern Jaguars were out there. Rough go of it for Southern on Saturday against North Carolina Central. 31-14 your final score in that matchup, and it was rough on both sides of the football. The headline at WBRZ said it was the Southern defense falters. It was more than just the defense. Jaguars only threw for 92 yards. The defense did give up 231 rushing yards, along with 189 through the air. Coach Terrence Graves, after the game, said this needs to be a wake-up call for his players.
Some of them got a little too caught up in reading the newspaper clippings and watching the videos about how great we are defensively. And as I tell them all the time, you got to play this game. You can't talk it. All the pats on the back mean nothing if you don't go out and execute.
Yeah, and they just couldn't tackle. It was just missed tackle after missed tackle after missed tackle, and that's not the only part there was. Coach Graves needs some accountability there, too, because your clock management heading into halftime was piss poor. I mean, they just burned time off the clock heading into halftime. Everything left a lot to be desired, with the exception of Trey Holly. 10 carries, 116 yards. The former LSU Tiger, now Southern Jaguar, averaged 11.6 yards per carry. Now, however, it is worth noting you got to back an 80-yard run out of that to get a true average of what he ran, because Holly had his longest touchdown run was 80 yards, just like Cameron McCoy was 9 carries for 98 yards, but he had a 69-yarder in there as well. So if you want a better look at those numbers, you're going to subtract that back out. Southern will be at Mississippi Valley State this coming Saturday. Meanwhile, LSU ready to get rolling. Tigers are finally in game week mode. Starting 5 on the offensive line is yet to be named. Braylon Moore should be at center. He says so far the competition's been good.
There's 4 and 5 stars throughout the offensive line room. You know, every dude's hungry. And so, you know, there's only a couple of dudes who have a ton of game experience and other dudes who are biting at the bit to get in there. But this group is very unselfish. You know, we want the best 5 out there.
That close group mantra we've heard a lot. In spite of a lot of new players, that close group is not just on the offensive line. The team that's been put together between the transfers and the freshmen incoming and whatnot, that tight-knit team has kind of been the mantra right there. Wide receiver Xavier Thomas says players are always hanging out away from the field. Kind of, you carry it with you when you're a team.
It feel like I've been knowing these guys like my whole life, when in reality we only been together for a certain amount of months, but we so close, like even off the field, like we always at each other's house. It's like we created that bond to where, like, even if we is at practice or something like that and somebody see me being lazy or I see somebody else being lazy, we able to tell each other like, hey, this not you, like, come on, pick it up.
So we are in game week mode, which I believe means Brian Kelly press conference Monday on our sister station 104.5 ESPN. That means live at lunch with Ott and Haney will move up a little bit and kind of split time between before and after the presser. And, of course, all this leading up to a kickoff, 6:30 p.m. Saturday on our sister station, Eagle 98.1, number 9 LSU at number 4 Clemson. Coverage on our sister station, coverage on Eagle 98.1's game day will begin at 1:30, take you up to 4:30, where the network will take over, and kickoff will be at 6:30 on the Eagle. Of course, Eagle 98.1's game day will continue well into the wee hours of the morning after the game is all wrapped up. And as we get back into full-on football mode, do need to remind you about the Battle on the Bluff. Talk 107.3 proudly supports Mayor President Sid Edwards' Men for Others campaign at the upcoming Battle on the Bluff High School Jamboree. Watch as 12 area teams compete from Thursday, August 28th through Friday, August 29th at the A.W. Mumford Stadium on the campus of Southern University. Get more information and purchase your tickets today at talk1073.com. Coming up on 620 at Talk 107.3 FM. Let's take a quick break. We will check your money now. I'll have traffic in just a second. Good morning, Christy. Welcome in, boo. Shoot. All right, let's go ahead and take that trip back to the traffic center real quick, see what we've got going on to start off your Monday morning, to start off your work week. Interstate wise, we're actually not looking bad within the city. So let's back. Well, I say that. You got a little bit of congestion on 12 westbound coming in from Denham Springs. Starts around Range Avenue, continues on and off. It's sporadic all the way up through the 10-12 merge. 10 westbound heading into the merge. Actually, 10 westbound starting back at Ascension looks great all the way up to the merge. 10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish. Equally looking good, and I-110 looking good as well. On your, 110 looks good, but there is a stalled vehicle in the roadway reported by BRPD. 110 right near Convention. So as you approach the 10-110, the 10-110 split right there, you might be on the lookout for it, but it's on the board, but it's not showing me any that it's causing any problems as a result. Really, the only thing on the map worth noting here, we got a couple of minor delays on surface streets. Choctaw, right near North Foster, we're looking at some slowdowns. And then, I guess this is also on, well, this is on Greenwell Springs Road at North Sherwood Forest. If you're on Greenwell Springs Road headed, I guess that'd be westbound towards North Sherwood, you're looking at some delays there. Backing things up, getting out of Baton Rouge real quick to check in on what's going on near Roseland. We are looking at still closures on Highway 10 and Highway 51. Basically, Roseland up to Fluker. You're not going to be able to get through that stretch right there on Highway 10 or Highway 51. So that is, of course, due to the explosion and continued fire over at Smitty Supply. That's your look at traffic from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. .625 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Before we dive into our next topic, let me take a quick moment to tell you about the folks over at Breck. Breck.org is where you're going to find them online. Breck.org is where you will find them on your interwebs. Where you're going to find them in real life? Well, basically anywhere. They're all over. You're going to find Breck Parks and Breck facilities all over the parish. And they're here for whatever you're here for. On the health and wellness front, during the summertime, they've got the summer camps going on. Well, as summer's wrapping up, Liberty Lagoon is still out there. You've got adult leisure classes. You've got athletics. You've got sports. You've got aquatics. They've got the Breck Swamp to get that science and nature end going on. Hit up breck.org and pull up the calendar. You're going to be amazed with the number of things that they have on their calendar, day in and day out. If you're looking at, just meet somebody new, get out the house and meet somebody new, just for a little community interaction, Breck has got you covered. We were out at Highland Road Park on Saturday for cross-country practice. And, no fewer than half dozen cross-country teams just zipping all over the park there. Some of them taking the cross-country, the track that we're going to be using for the actual meets. Some of them running up hills to get those, stretch those muscles out. Then as I'm making my way around, I'm seeing other people doing other things. You had a community event going on by the pavilion. You had another community event going on by the football field. Saw the big pop-up tent for Noel Distilleries. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's 8:30 in the morning. Where's my tequila? It's always such a great example of what community can be when you hit up a Breck Park. We're going to take a quick look at the tropics right now. And I had it written down on the rundown to do this. And I've been debating whether or not I want to, because there's absolutely nothing going on. I shouldn't say absolutely nothing. There is a disturbance with a 10% chance of becoming a named storm. And there is Fernand. Fernand is Fernand or Fernand, I don't care. It's a tropical storm and likely will remain as such and won't bother anybody. Fernand is in the Atlantic and will continue to head on that northeasterly pattern and just fizzle out and be a fish storm, which is all we've seen so far this season is fish storms. All we've seen so far this season is things that are out in the Atlantic and they remain in the Atlantic. Erin had some repercussions on land because of her size and her strength, but the storm itself wasn't exactly on land. So here we are, August 25th, and we're going to talk about Katrina a little bit later on in the show, so I don't want to do that right now. But here we are on the Monday of the anniversary, the 20th anniversary of Katrina, and we're on our F storm right now. There's another tropical wave that is likely not going to become a storm because this thing has gotten up to a 40% chance of being named, and now it's back down to a 10% chance of being named. And it's moving into a less favorable environment, so it's whittling away as we speak. And to me, the big thing right now isn't so much the two blips on the radar that we currently have. It's the fact that there's nothing else east of there. We're in that part of the season where we were, I'm sure experts were expecting, to be seeing storms just churn off the west coast of Africa into the Atlantic. See, we saw it last week where we had like 4 in a row. Boom, 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 right? And as of right now, it's very easy to believe that we'll make it into probably September, still on that F storm level. Which, when an above average storm season was predicted, I'll take that and run. I will take that and run all day long. I don't know why I'm looking at this hurricane season like I'm going to go a basketball reference here. Like I want to run out the clock. Like I want a 4 corners offense on this hurricane season. I don't know why that's my mentality going in, but it's like every day that runs by or every day that rolls by, more seconds are ticking off the clock. I will run the shot clock all the way down before, the next named storm and then hope for the best. Because technically when we get to September 1st to September 10th-ish is the peak of hurricane season. That is where it's at its highest. And obviously September 10th, we're not done with hurricane season, but that's the peak. We start tapering down a little bit after that. Not with our level of alert or level of guard, but definitely with our, traditional activity. So let's spread the ball out, take the air out the ball, run the shot clock down to 1 or 2 before getting a shot off, hopefully pull down an offensive rebound, and keep the season chugging right along. Get to that halfway point real soon. Oh, I don't even have the promo. Okay. All right. Tell you what, we got news, traffic, weather. We'll continue next. Well, I missed that one by a mile. All right. Glad I was paying attention.
Good morning, everyone. So Keith asks, is there any news on what started the fire in Smitty's?
Not yet.
So
We're going to get to Smitty's in this segment.
Yeah. Oh, also, 13, 14, 15 is a Saints cut on LRN. I wanted to, yeah.
Thank you for that heads up.
Yeah.
That would have been embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yes, just 13 and 14. My apologies.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Cross him off then. I kind of want to do that. We'll do that story in the outside in.
Okay.
Cut 7, 8, and 9 to the outside in.
All right.
You got Medical Monday, right?
Which one you want?
The one for today.
Oh, it is. Oh, it's in today's folder. Okay. I'm glad you said something too.
.637 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. All right, so let's give it a look here. What's going on over in Roseland? 90% containment, that was the word as of last night. I'm sure we'll get more word as the show wears on this morning. Talking about the explosion and fire at Smitty's Supplies. Now, you heard the story from our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network. We'll dig back in on that front in just a second. I want to start off, though, with the advocates reporting on this because they've done a pretty good job so far. 2 days after an explosion at Smitty's Supply in Roseland forced an evacuation of nearby residents and blanketed the area in black, oily soot, authorities said they were still trying to get the fire under control. 90% contained as of yesterday afternoon. That's unchanged from the night before. This is despite the arrival of additional resources and specialized heavy machinery overnight. State police put out that update yesterday afternoon. Actually, they put that up just afternoon. So a containment berm was being installed around the site to prevent any runoff of hazardous materials. Recovery operations were expected to continue through the day yesterday, and they did. Response crews also began removing structural debris and addressing covered hotspots, areas of smoldering fire that could be buried beneath rubble or debris. Now, the mandatory evacuation is still in place and will remain so for all residents within 1 mile of the plant. By the way, and this is the good part, as nasty as this video has looked, as brutal and violent of a fire as this was, an explosion as this was, no injuries nor deaths have been reported, according to state police. Now, we told you in top stories and trending, Roseland Elementary will remain closed today. I'll be shocked if they're back in tomorrow. Just shy of 1,000 residents had to evacuate from the town. Roseland, by the way, if you're not familiar with Roseland, it's not a very big place. It's just north of Amite. I mean, when you're a suburb of Fluker, you're not a really big town. That's, but it's just north of Amite is where you're going to find it. So let's get back to the 90% containment. And crews talk about they were removing structural debris. Talking about removing structural debris to get to those hot spots. Tangipahoa Parish President Robbie Miller, you heard this in our news just a moment ago, talking about that 1 mile evacuation zone.
That's out of an abundance of caution, maybe as much as to let the free flow of workers do what they need to do and not have sightseers come by.
So the free flow of workers part was where I wanted to go with this, and that is, I'm going to have trouble not tying this back into Katrina. Hear me out, okay? Just got done watching the Nat Geo documentary, Hurricane Katrina Racing Its Time. If you have not watched it, highly, highly recommend. I don't agree with 100% of how they recalled everything, but I agree with enough of it was accurate, right? One of the questions that kept coming up was, and I remember this vividly 20 years ago, how soon can you let people back into their homes? It's their home, it's their house. But it begs the question of, like, there is an emergency going on. Does everybody else need to stand aside? Let the emergency workers do what the emergency workers do. Put everything back the way it needs to be before you return. And we'll continue on with the story in just a second. But as a side note, let's talk about that. Over on Facebook Live. We're live on Facebook every single day, thanks to the folks at Lake Urgent Care. You can catch us live on Facebook. You can catch all of our content on demand at talk1073.com. But it's all thanks to the folks at Lake Urgent Care. Let's chat over on Facebook Live. In times of an emergency, are you more of one to put your feet in the ground and say, this is my house, my home, I'm not going anywhere? Or are you going to say, yeah, I'll scooch for a bit. I'll stand down. I'll move out of the way. Y'all do what you need to do to make sure everything's safe, and then I'll come back around. Because that was quite the point of contention 20 years ago in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. And it's one of the things being asked for right now over in Roseland. By the way, this is not from nothing, but the former governor was among those who had to evacuate. John Bell and his wife and the chicken coop. They had to pack up and move for a little bit. A family associate said they're safe. They're monitoring the situation. State police, by the way, in a news conference on Saturday, Sergeant William Huggins said there were several small explosions in the hours after the initial big explosion.
These are consistent on what has been occurring since the start of this incident and do not present any new or heightened concerns at this time.
Which is a good thing. So what we're going to be looking at now are EPA concerns, air quality concerns, knocking out that last 10%, getting rid of all the hot spots, which I'm sure if authorities are telling us it's 90% contained, it's a lot more than that. They're just erring to the side of caution for that off chance of randomness, for that one hot spot that they haven't seen yet. But yeah, your air quality is going to be your next point of concern. Your water quality is going to be a point of concern as well. And then getting people back into their homes. And then once that happens, I think that's when we'll start to look to the question of what happened? What caused the blast? What materials actually caught fire? What were so combustible that they result? I mean, they deal in petroleum products over at Smitty's, right? And according to the Advocate, there have been past incidents. I'm reading from the Advocate, okay? Smitty's blends and distributes oil and other lubricants under the Super S, Shell, Quaker State, Castrol, Exxon, Valvoline, and many other brand names. They also provide contract oil, lubrication, and treatment products to manufacturers. The facility, which has 20 separate tank farms, also makes its own plastic bottles for products such as motor oil and manufactures grease. It has the ability to store 8.7 million gallons of flammable liquids and chemicals. The Advocate goes on to say, though it's located a mile from an elementary school, they're not required to obtain a state air permit because its emissions are too small, state regulatory papers say. Gotta love that they threw that last line in. I mean, they're following the law, but you got to include that last line just to dig a little bit. But, and this is where the Advocate goes on, the facility over the last decade has been a scrutiny from state and federal regulators over spills of various chemicals, worker safety problems. There were sometimes tied to spilled materials. There have also been odor complaints and lawsuits from one neighbor over continued alleged off-site contamination, according to state and federal papers. So all this is going to lead to greater questions when it comes to what caused this blast in particular. All this is going to lead to bigger, a bigger spotlight put on the whole facility and how they function as they move forward. Want to move over? We got a minute and a half left. Okay. Want to move over in this last minute and a half to talk about the community around there. Just to end this on a positive note before we take our next break. Per our news partners at WBRZ, in the aftermath of the explosion, the A-Meat Subway is offering a free meal to first responders and evacuees. It's a free 6-inch classic sandwich, small fountain drink. They're available at the West Oak Street location. That deal will wrap up today. The Louisiana Workforce Commission's Rapid Response Team is working with Go Jobs to support the workers displaced from Smitty's. Workers can visit the Worker Transition Center in Hammond from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. this week for assistance with resumes, work registration, application assistance, and a whole lot more. Meanwhile, there's a Pastalaya fundraiser also scheduled that'll be for next month to raise money for the employees that were affected. September 13th, there's a festival that'll start at noon at Brandon's Trailer Sales on Highway 16 in Amite. Plate lunch will run you $10. All proceeds will go to affected workers. So as we move from the emergency part of this to the let's get rebuilding part of this / investigation part, but as we move towards that, the community is already active in helping. One fundraiser is already in the works. You've got Workforce Commission already doing their job, and of course the folks at Subway saying here's a free 6-inch sandwich. So if we can end on a good note, it would be the note that times like this do bring communities together. And in this particular instance, while horrible news across the board, we averted the tragedy of lost life. Coming up on 647 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We got a quick break on the way. We will check traffic. We will check your money now. This week, Friday, in fact, marks the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. We'll talk about it next. Oh, look at the chat answering each other's questions. It's alive. Galen says, "Who knew there was a suburb of Amite?" So on Wednesday, since nobody died in this, I think I can have some fun later on. But on Wednesday, I'm going to be at the Louisiana Travel Association's annual summit, and I'm pretty sure Tangipahoa's Convention and Visitors Bureau is on my rundown as a guest.
Okay.
Should I ask them about making s'mores? No?
I mean, you're right. Nobody died. But
Right, nobody died. Add 2 more days to the mix. By the way, you're talking about volatile, flammable, explosive chemicals
yes.
in the millions of gallons range.
Mm.
And we're trusting it all to somebody named Smitty? What, was Cooter not available?
Goodness. Get us in trouble.
All right, Matt's got Matt hitting consensus, like hitting the pragmatism right out the blocks. Yep.
that interview on Wednesday. I'll put in the Mr. Child clip. But did you die?
But did you die? The sequels to The Hangover were underrated. I think they were overly scrutinized.
I like the second one. The third one, I don't know.
I like the third one better than the second one.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't care for that little shit kid.
You did.
The third one to me, going back to Las Vegas,
Yeah.
getting Mike Tyson back in the mix. Like,
Yeah.
it was, the third one was worse because it happened third.
Yeah.
I love Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
Love John Goodman.
Yep.
John Goodman was great. I'm shooting Doug's today.
Which one? No, that was the second one. See, now they went
The
to
second one,
Thailand,
they were
right?
in Bangkok.
Bangkok.
Yeah.
That's what it was. That's
Yeah.
what it was. Okay. What was it? Between Two Ferns was that Galifianakis?
Yeah.
I forgot who interviewed him. He was like, "Did you really have to do the third one?" He's like, "My uncle needed a baboon heart transplant. Okay, I had to do the third one."
It was Barack Obama.
It was Barack Obama. Was it? That's, oh my gosh, I couldn't remember who it was.
Yeah.
Did you really have to do
Yeah, no, because he asked him about a third term, and he says, like,
Oh,
a
yeah,
third
yeah.
hangover. 652, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We're going to pivot here. We'll be keeping an eye out for any further information coming from Smitty's Supply and the explosions and fire that has engulfed Roseland over the weekend. Again, miraculously, no one hurt. Not just no one killed, no one hurt. Ridiculous. It's ridiculously great, but nonetheless, it's just an amazing footnote. So we'll learn as if not the day wears on, as the week wears on, more about cause, more about what led to it, more about what actually happened. The moment by moment, the blow by blow breakdown. Right now, though, I do want to pivot over because coming up Friday will be the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, and a lot of outlets, news outlets around, are kind of debating how much they want to put in on Katrina. I will tell you this: as of right now, we're going to have 2 solid hours of this show. 2+ solid hours of this show is going to be an anniversary episode. Got a number of guests already lined up. Heck, I got one guest already recorded. But we're going to take a look back on Katrina 20 years later from a couple of different standpoints. Obviously, this being a radio station, radio's role, the role of communications. In fact, we're going to have 2 separate segments about the role of communications and what was, for a brief moment in time, the United Radio Broadcasters, which was an amazing story in and of itself, as there were numerous, side plots, subplots that played out over the course of, the weeks and months that followed that unmitigated disaster. Other things that popped up after Katrina, you heard it in news at the bottom of the hour there. We had very few charter schools in Louisiana before Katrina. Barry Irwin, Chief Policy Officer for Leaders for a Better Louisiana, tells our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network one of the effects of Katrina's aftermath was the rise of the charter schools. He says it started in New Orleans, and charter schools, they've been producing tremendous results.
You go back to 2005, kids in New Orleans were at the very bottom of the state. Today, that district is a C school district, but pushing a B school district.
And the school choice that has sprung up because of it has netted results all around the state. I mean, we see them here in Baton Rouge as well. It's not just New Orleans, who, if we all remember, if we don't want to, paint history with a brush like New Orleans was this perfect city on August 28th, 2005, and then Katrina destroyed it. I mean, Katrina left a lot of destruction in its wake, but that city had a lot of problems heading in. Another effect, and this is Barry Irwin again, saying that Katrina led to a consolidation of the levee boards down there.
There's only 2 levee boards in that area, one on the west bank of the river, one on the east bank. We took out the politics of the process in terms of appointing people to the levee board,
which was unbelievably vital. It was an absolute wake-up call on that end. And economically, we saw a different New Orleans, a different New Orleans after Katrina than we saw before Katrina. 6.
There was a feeling about entrepreneurs coming in, people wanting to give back, diversifying the economy in ways that we hadn't been able to do before. And we saw a little bit of that in the aftermath of Katrina, but it didn't really stick.
No, it didn't. But tourism does still rule the day, and even more so than before the storm. I mean, you go down there. We visit with New Orleans and Company every month. The city has a reputation of now being, quote, built to host. I mean, we're coming off a ridiculous run in New Orleans of tourism wins. The biggest one, of course, being the Super Bowl. And let's not forget, that's the second Super Bowl since Katrina. And it's kind of miraculous that we even got it, because the first Super Bowl after Katrina, we knocked the power out. Stupid Beyonce. Their stupid halftime show. Knocked the power out and ended Colin Kaepernick's career. How about that? But nonetheless, it's a different New Orleans today than it was before. And it was mentioned earlier, Christy and I just got done watching the Katrina documentary on Nat Geo, Hurricane Katrina, Race Against Time. And a lot of the reminders were very, very stark, very, very graphic, very, very brutal. The more it spills back in, the more you remember of just how insane it was to see that footage. How just ridiculous it was to hear constant. If you lived in Southeast Baton Rouge or any point between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, I want you to, unless you're driving. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. But I want you to close your eyes for just a quick second. Do you remember the sound of helicopters? Constant helicopters from LSU down to New Orleans and back. It was constant. It was so constant that, one day you woke up, you got one out to your car, and you're like, wait a minute, I don't hear helicopters anymore. It was odd it was so constant and so pervasive, it was odd to not hear helicopters on the back end. Getting back to the documentary, though, it was graphic. There is footage of bodies in water. The footage of the people on the rooftops, it brought me back instantly. It brought me back 20 years in an instant. The stories of the lawlessness in New Orleans that got way, way out of hand. I think one of the things that we learned, or one of the things that I learned during Katrina, was you can only trust national media so much. And we've been reminded of this, and I mean on all sides. Don't get me down a political Fox News, CNN debate. I'm talking about on all sides, where their job is to draw eyeballs from around the country and around the world. And in order to do that, they have to sensationalize. And the reports of everything out of the Superdome that didn't actually happen were ridiculous. Like I said, coming up on Friday, we're going to do at least 2 hours, 2 hours and change on the Hurricane Katrina anniversary. One of the guests we're going to have, if you watch that Nat Geo documentary, Ed Bush from the National Guard. Basically the first man in, last man out of the Superdome. He's going to set the record straight about a lot of stuff. Can't do the full 3 hours, though. I need at least one segment to talk with Chris Blair. Do a little LSU pregame. All right. We got ABC News coming your way. Hour 2 is next. Do what? I'm laughing while saying the phrase unmitigated destruction. Yeah. It was everywhere.
Look, what's happening in Roseland is going to be, you talk about shaping a community for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
It's fixing to destroy the economy. It's going to hurt Amy.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's going to be destructive. And not even, that's just the economic disaster. The damn environmental disaster.
Hopefully they're out in front a little bit on that. I mean, there's only so much you can do about the black smoke. But
hopefully with the black smoke was mostly carbon. Because carbon will just go in and settle on the bottom of the water. It won't hurt nothing, but it's the stuff that's floating on top that people are worried about.
yeah,
I dread it. You got to think about that as a manager of a city or mayor of a city. How do you go from a warehouse, which is what they started as, into a production facility? When you talk about planning, that's kind of some of the stuff you look at.
yeah.
You just let it keep growing. Do we have the facilities, the infrastructure, the safety in place? Here, I thought y'all were all just so smart. I thought y'all were just history buffs, but then you read me off.
Oh
No,
yeah.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
I'm looking up something very specific.
He's why I'm doing this day in history.
He's getting you a day in history.
So I'm over here looking up. I'm not right. You think right? So it's funny. It's like I'm not a history buff. I just play one on the radio.
Hey man. Ramen noodles.
That's it, man.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the first package was in 1958.
Tortillas they make at Parish Prison using ramen noodles.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they take the ramen noodles and mash it together and flatten it out and make like a tortilla with it.
Whoa.
Okay.
You got to hang out with prisoners, bro. I'm gonna tell you that, my years in the landscaping business, I learned a lot of things I don't need to know.
I would never have guessed that. Makes sense though. Last thing you want when you're working outside is hot soup.
Right.
Oh man, that's funny. The Beatles study transcendental medicine. Kind of does have a Charles Manson kind of look to him. He's like an Indian Charles Manson, a Bengali Charles Manson.
I could be on the radio. I'd get rated out so quick.
The thing is, you never know what it's going to be though, because you can say the most blatantly offensive thing and nobody blinks an eye,
Yeah.
and then you say something completely innocuous and there's 3 calls to the front desk.
Oh, yeah. God forbid, explain road work. The lady got offended when I was here last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I had Senator Cassidy on Friday talking about his halt fentanyl bill in the presentation, and I hope you don't mind. I called you the bravest man in the room.
That's fine.
Because you took the microphone after Tanja Miles. I was like, anybody's willing to do that. That's a level of like.
When then I leaned up, I'm like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
And nobody's talking about this. I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's an impromptu session. Mayor Evans. And it ain't about me. That's why he's like, tell them who you are. Like, I don't need to tell you who I am. I need to tell you what we need to do.
Right. .705 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. We got JP producing. We got a busy hour this hour. Medical Monday coming up in our next segment. Our Lady of the Lake about to undergo some major renovations to their emergency department. Dr. Mark Laperouse going to hop on the hotline and talk about that. 7:35 we will take you to Central. Actually, we'll bring Central to us. Central's Mayor Wade Evans in studio could be talking about the fentanyl epidemic and where we are and where we need to be. And why do you turn to Central for fentanyl? Because it's everywhere. Because it's literally everywhere. So Mayor Wade Evans coming up at 7:35. Right now, the top stories in trending. Let's go.
Number 5.
Students at Roseland Elementary will be staying home today due to an evacuation order that's still in place following that massive explosion on Friday. Superintendent Melissa Stilley said the school is in the 1 mile evacuation zone around Smitty's Supply Incorporated.
Number 4.
Keeping it Roseland, the evacuation order, like we said, is still in place for that 1 mile radius. The fire itself is, as of last report, 90% contained.
Number 3.
One more. You can add an emergency closure of the Tangipahoa River yesterday evening in response to the explosion. The river is closed between Highway 10 and Highway 22, along with any connecting waterways. This is in an effort to limit activity that might interfere with emergency crews working to contain the fire that fire that resulted from the explosion.
Number 2.
No news is good news out in the tropics. Tropical storm Fernand is not going to be more than a tropical storm as it looks. And this tropical wave that is near the Windward Islands, it's east of the Windward Islands, is dropping in percentage of chance of becoming a named storm. As of Saturday, it was at 30%. Today, it is down to 10%.
Number 1.
At least one person was killed, 5 injured, in 5 separate shootings across the capital city yesterday morning. The first was just before 1 a.m. A man was shot at Broadmoor Plantation Apartments on Florida Boulevard. Then around 2 a.m., 2 people were shot at Club Emotions on North Acadian. At almost the same time, BRPD responded to a woman at a hospital with non-life-threatening gunshot wound. Police say they later learned that she was shot on Highland Road. Then, just before 4 a.m., 36-year-old Johnny Brown was found dead in the 3400 block of Plank Road, multiple gunshot wounds there. Then at around 10:30 a.m., a man was shot on Bellhaven Trace Drive. What's trending, JP?
Well, over the weekend, Russia launched drones and a missile into Ukraine, according to the Ukrainian Air Force.
And I believe the Russians are saying Ukraine shot at them as well. So how are the talks going?
Yeah. Man.
You
Back
two
and
kids.
forth, yeah.
Just lock
Tick
them
for
in a room.
tack, like-
Lock them in a room to let them work it out. Let them fight, let them cuss, let them make out, whatever. Just
Put them
get
in an
it done.
octagon.
That's, yeah.
There we go.
I mean, yeah.
SpaceX postponed Starship's 10th test yesterday due to the failure of a critical ground system.
Yeah, but you were saying last hour, like, okay, that makes a headline.
Yeah.
But the 200 times they get up into space, or what was it, 177 on the year?
Yeah, this would have been actually the 546th launch overall.
Overall, but
and
this year
the
alone.
107th launch of 2025. Yeah. just this year.
107th?
Yeah. This would have
Okay.
been, yeah. And the 10th launch this month.
That's, yeah.
So,
I mean, they're basically throwing one up every other day.
that's right. That's right. This would have been also its 10th launch overall for Starship. So, yeah, despite, not going in the air, not going into flight yesterday.
Right.
I mean, this isn't really a loss for them. But, yeah, I'm sure they'll be back up soon.
Let's see. Today is, we're 237 days into the year. Is that right?
Sure.
Which would be, we're roughly one every other day. Roughly one every other day.
Man.
All right.
In other news, for the first time since Matt Mock, a quarterback will don the coveted number 18 for the LSU Tigers as Garrett Nussmeier gets the honor.
Very, very difficult not to have expectations through the roof.
Yeah.
And then once they're through the roof, go ahead and raise them from there. Although I will say, I was watching, and I don't know if this stemmed from SEC Media Days or where, but it was just, I was scrolling through TikTok and Brian Kelly pops up. He's 4 years in here in bed. This is year 4, and he still can't pronounce Lanyap.
I mean,
It's, I don't know why does that disappoint me so much?
I
you're
it
in your
shouldn't,
4th
but
year. He got the
maybe.
definition of it right.
Okay, yeah.
He got the definition, a little something extra. He got the
Yeah.
definition right.
Right.
But he still pronounced that G. Lagnap.
Lagnap?
Yeah. Dude, come on, man. You're 4 years in.
Get together.
There needs to be a crash course for some. I mean, I get it. Year
No one's
one.
correcting him?
No, that he was. Yeah, they had someone correcting him.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I know your job is football.
Yeah.
Football.
That's right.
Right. And making the playoffs this year.
Football and Lagnap.
There are certain things you ought to learn. Like there should be a Louisiana coach. Can we get him a Louisiana coach?
Maybe.
Just not. I don't want to take a whole lot of his time.
Yeah.
Just a half hour a day. Give me a half hour a day with him. We can knock out all of it.
You get to break out the whiteboard, break it down syllable.
Right. This is what Lanyap. 2 syllables. Jambalaya, not jambalaya.
Chapatulas?
We can't expect everything. Rougarou's going to do what? Pull your toes. That's
Yeah.
There's certain things you need to learn.
That's right.
7-Eleven at Talk 107.3 FM. There's certain things you need to learn when you're part of a community. And when you're part of a community, you have a community bank and a community banker. That's why I tell you about Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website if you want to check out what they got going on over there. They were founded in 1897 as a community bank, and they remain true to that mission today. LandmarkBankLA.com is where you're going to find all of their locations. The latest one is over on the west side in Brewley. But they've been around, like I said, since 1897 as a community bank. And what the difference you get when you have a community bank, the biggest difference here is you have a banker. You have someone who, when you walk through that front door and shake their hand, they understand what it is you're going after. They understand what it is you're trying to do. Whether you're talking about your personal banking, checking, savings, borrowing, long-term planning, or you're diving into that entrepreneurship world and you need a banker to help you navigate jumping off that cliff. If you're in Clinton, if you're in Greensburg, if you're in Zachary, they've got you covered. Denham Springs, they've got you covered. And, of course, like I said, the new office in Brewley as well. Check them out online at landmarkbankla.com. Galen says, Katrina's flooding of New Orleans overshadowed the near-complete destruction of the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Yep. We can get Coach O to help Kelly articulate South Louisiana words. No, we can't. Then you have to hire a translator. And somebody was talking the other day about the call-in show where Coach O threatened to kill somebody.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And, yeah, that one's going to haunt me for the rest of my life because I was producing that show.
Oh, man. That's insane.
Yeah. Guy said, I screened the call like any other. I can't remember his name, but he said, I got a question about special teams.
Ooh.
And he asked this question about special teams. And he said, Coach, you're out of TJ Ribs. My sister's celebrating her 21st birthday, and she's in the room that night. She's in the room right now. If you can give her a shout out. Then he says, her name's Bebe. You'll know something about that. And he goes, hey, Bebe, where you at, Bebe? He says, yeah, Coach, she's a 21-year-old blonde, so try not to have sex with her.
It's time for your weekly checkup. This is Medical Monday, presented by Our Lady of the Lake Health.
Yes, it is time for Medical Monday, and we are on point this week with the news from last week. Our Lady of the Lake's getting a major upgrade to their emergency department, and we've got Dr. Mark Laprousse, the medical director of the emergency department, on with us to talk about the size, scope, scale, and more importantly, the why in this project. Mark, good morning. How are you, sir?
Great. Nice to talk to you, Brian.
Always good to have you on. Let's start with the why. Why is the emergency department renovation such an important investment in the health of Baton Rouge and really for the overall region?
Well, it's so important because we're the only level 1 trauma center in this region of Louisiana. We're the comprehensive stroke center in this region of patients from other smaller community hospitals that don't necessarily have the resources from all over Louisiana. So we have to be constantly innovating, constantly growing our infrastructure so that we can support the rest of the state.
Okay, follow up on that one, and that is, what is a level center?
That we are the place to fall out of a tree, and available for surgeons, emergency physicians. We have all the resources ready to receive these patients as they come in.
Okay, so it's not just the all-encompassing part of being able to treat everything, but there's a research into it as well.
Correct.
All right, rolling with that. We got Dr. Mark Laprousse with us. We're talking about the revamp or the renovations coming to the emergency department over at Our Lady of the Lake. When someone comes to the ER, time is of the essence. Every second matters, of course. How will the new design and technology help patients get care faster?
Yeah, so we have a very nice ER as it stands. The only problem is it doesn't make any functional sense. It's about 2 football fields of space, but it's a crisscross pattern. So patients that come in by ambulance typically are the sickest, and they have about 100 yards from where they park to where they end up in the sickest rooms, the sickest area of our emergency department. And the opposite, our private vehicle patients, historically, typically they can walk, not all, but typically a little less sick than someone's coming in by ambulance, and they would have to do a long walk across the other way. And so we are flip-flopping our EMS and our private vehicle entrances. We're going to have a straight shot from our EMS ramp to the sickest area of our department so that we can, cut down on those. Every step matters because every step is a second. And we want to make sure that we can get those patients that are having possible strokes, possible heart attacks, trauma victims, patients that have potential sepsis, all the time-sensitive illnesses. We need to make sure that we get them as quickly into our department and into the care room as possible.
Was it built wrong the last time, or is it just a matter of retrofitting throughout over the years? It's kind of grown into this space.
Yeah, it's just the evolution. So
yeah.
In 2013, when the charity hospital system closed down and all the local hospitals absorbed the volume of patients from Earl K. Long, as well as some of the other services, academic services, things changed, and so we had the same building, and the question is, do you add on to the building? Do you keep renovating spaces? And that's what we've done over the years is we tried to make things fit. As at a certain point, you realize if we're going to take this to the next level over the next 5, 10, 15 years, we need to build a space now that's going to be able to bring us into the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter. It's kind of the penalty for being good at what you do. Anybody who does well, they grow, and when they grow, have to adapt and set button overall. About it because
incorporated those. The clinic. I was committee leads with the architecture firm, but we brought in the experts from radiology, from the lab, our nursing colleagues, IT colleagues, everyone that really has an imprint in our current emergency department. They had a say in the design of these plans, so it will make functional sense. We will have no semi-private rooms. The rooms will have warm feels. We found ways to bring natural light into this large space. So typically you come into a hospital and it's very institutional feeling. Mm-hmm. Ours is going to be warm. It's going to have themes that we recognize in the South with swamps and cypress trees and tributaries. We're going to have very calming colors. So all of this is about the patient experience. So we're thinking about it from the very beginning to the very end. And we've really thought about every detail.
The team that's on the ground contributed to the design. That is so emblematic of Our Lady of the Lake. I mean, y'all have been about teamwork in every facet of the hospital from top to bottom. This is just an extension of that.
Oh, it's so fun. And on top of that, we were able to, with technology, rapidly changing all around us, we were able to put on virtual reality headsets and walk our space. So as we were designing it, we got to walk it, to feel it, to see it. It's amazing. There's a picture of me with my hands up, like so excited. Like, I can't believe we've actually done this. And I got to say, we really knocked it out of the park.
Very cool stuff. You are listening to Medical Monday, of course, where we team up every week with the folks from Our Lady of the Lake. We're talking with Dr. Mark Lapras about the revamp of the emergency department. Okay, now, it's not, this isn't something you unwrap or you slap together from IKEA. There will be a construction period. So how do we take care of patients, making sure they receive, that seamless emergency care 24/7?
Yeah, first of all, we have a great operational plan, so I want everybody to know that right off the bat. Second of all, if a hospital is not doing renovation or because they're not trying to be better. We know that we want to be better, we want to be the best, and we're going to constantly strive for the best. But we created a great operational plan, and we had two ICUs that were being slated to be turned into a different type of unit. Spicer, our president, so that I can have on half of our current
served areas
scared immediately. So, and it's a hard goal because in the emergency department, they're unplanned visits. We want to have a waitless ER. We're able to accomplish that 60-70% of the time currently with the current limitations in rooms as we speak. So as we have more rooms, over 20 new rooms with this new plan, we're hoping that we will not have any waits, especially for somebody that's coming from a far distance, scared about their concern, their health or their loved one. We want to make sure we can bring them into our department very quickly. And then on top of that, we want to make sure that for a building that they're not familiar with, because hospitals are scary already, but if you're from out of town and you don't know this building, getting around the building is hard. So we created some wayfinding techniques so people will be able to find their way around our ER. That was one of the inspirations from Chuck Spicer when I took him on his tour of the ER 2.5 years ago when he first joined here. He said, if you left me, I would not be able to find my way out. So we thought of that in our plan, and it will be the layout of our department will make sense, and strangers to Our Lady of the Lake will be able to find their way around.
This is neither here nor there, but the average time in the ER, I mean, to get from, ER, because you mentioned like the zero wait time is the goal here, and you're able to hit that 60-70% of the time. But once you're checked into the ER, your average time there before either, being fully admitted to the hospital or being sent on your way, what's your turnaround time on those rooms?
Yeah, so those two different populations are very different. So somebody that's being discharged is typically less sick, needs less testing, needs less evaluations by consultants or admitting doctors. So that can range from 120 minutes to 180 minutes. Based off of what they're there for. Mm-hmm. If it's something super low acuity and they just need a throat swab because they have a sore throat, that's in and out. That's pretty quick. But when you think of Our Lady of the Lake, most of our discharged patients are not fast track, if you will, not very low acuity. Those typically peel off and go to other facilities or go to urgent cares. So the patients that we're discharging, they happen to be 75 with abdominal pain. It just happens to be that their CT scan was not concerning for something surgical. We don't have many ankle sprains and sore throats, even though we're fine to see those. We're a very high acuity comprehensive center. Yeah. But those admitted patients, they typically stay a little longer because one, they require resuscitation. They require a lot of test, and then ultimately they will require a specialist to come down and see them to make sure that we get them to the right place in the hospital. And so there's a little extra time there, so that that can on an extra hour, hour and a half. Unfortunately, sometimes 2 hours.
Okay, it was just looking for background information on that one. Got just a couple minutes left with Dr. Mark Laprousse talking about the revamp of the emergency department. I know this is going to feel like a self-answerable question, Dr. Laprousse, but how does this project show Our Lady of the Lake's long-term commitment to both innovation and excellence in emergency care?
Well, they're making a very large investment in this emergency department, and that shows the community that we hear you. When you say you have a wait time and you feel like that's too long, we hear you. We're adding more beds. When you say that you feel like the environment doesn't match the quality of care that's happening inside the rooms, we hear you. When you say that you feel like some of the rooms are a little bit tired and worn out, we understand. We want to be the premier hospital in Louisiana and beyond. We feel like we've got some great subject matter experts in the medical field here taking care of these patients, and the administration is understanding that we have needs to be the best, to be an academic center that people are traveling to come and see us. That speaks volumes. When we say academic centers around the country, people are traveling to MD Anderson, traveling to Vanderbilt, Johns Hopkins, or Cleveland Clinic to get an evaluation or a second opinion. We feel, and we're becoming that in the South. People are they're seeking out care at Our Lady of the Lake because we have processes, procedures, tests, techniques that others don't have.
Last one before we get you out of here, and that's kind of the message as these things get underway. What's the message to the community as y'all are getting started?
Don't be scared of construction. We've got an operational game plan. If you drive up our ramp, because we are an ER on the second floor, and you see construction, don't turn around and go somewhere else. We have parking attendants that will give you complimentary parking. They'll take your keys and park your car safely, and we can bring you inside and deliver you back to your car at the end. Do not be scared of construction. Once you arrive on our campus, we have you.
He is Dr. Mark Laprousse from Our Lady of the Lake. You've been listening to Medical Monday. Dr. Laprousse, thank you so much for coming. 728 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Do what?
It sounded like it was cut off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's on me. Sorry about that.
No,
we always like to disclose that was obviously not live. That was pre-recorded. We got the chance to catch up with Dr. Laprousse on Friday. Fascinating stuff, though, and a lot to be on the lookout for as they're about to, it's going to be major. And the way he described how jacked up it is right now, how kind of it's backwards, and nobody's fault. You just retrofit yourself in as the years move on. So much needed, overdue and needed facelift out there at Our Lady of the Lake. All right, we got ABC News coming your way, local news, traffic, weather. Wade Evans, Central's mayor, is going to join us on the back end after that. While I do have a minute before hitting up our news, let me remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. Went by Mathern's for lunch on Friday. I was overdue to just indulge in the hot wing bar. And that's the campus location, which is what I want to tell you about anyway. On Fridays, I'll swing by, hit the chicken wings. Was tempted to do the salad bar. I was like, you know what? Let's just go. Let's just have a little smorgasbord of hot wings. Now, on game days, they're going to be your stop all along the way because they're on campus. They are the closest grocery store to Tiger Stadium. In fact, if you're going out there, you host your own tailgate party. You get out to campus. You're all set up. You're all locked in for the day. You realize you forgot something. Mathern's is on campus, and they're here for exactly that on game day. Now, let's say you don't have your own tailgate party. You bounce from party to party. Mathern's has got you covered there too. They take that salad bar on game day and remove it, fill that bad boy up with beer. So if you're stopping off for a couple cold pops, you could do that. They've got the hot jambalaya for you as well. But you can stop off in between tailgates. And if you really want the pro tip, then cater your whole tailgate as well. Download the Mathern's app today. Check them out on Mathern's.com. But earn cash towards more groceries every time you shop when you use the app for Mathern's. Quick break for news. We'll continue next. All right, come on over. Oh, shit, I just broke this. Oh, no. Well, it's what holds this together. All right, well. No, hopefully it'll hold. Yeah, this just popped right off. All right, well, Bo needed more shit to do. So that's been a problem anyway. This needed to be replaced for a long time. I get it. All right. Yeah, unfortunately, it won't affect the sound. It just affects whether or not it goes limp.
I'll still sound like Clarence Bugs chewing on my tongue.
Good old Clarence. Don't think we'll ever see the days of caller-driven radio come back.
I used to, when I would listen to him, I'd think, man, it sounds like he's got a fat tongue. And it's the sound. It's how the sound's set. I guess you're more important or whoever was on. We live on Facebook. Good morning,
We
y'all.
are.
Good morning, my Facebook friends. Got the surfboard in the parking lot. I caught a lot of flack over the surfboard thing.
Do what?
The news ran with our master plan for Main Street 2030, and they focused on the surf lake, which was just a placeholder. People lost their.
I missed this one.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. But we got a lot of good input. We got a lot of good feedback. I've sent postcards and text messages and everything for people to come to tell us what they want. You let the news run with a crazy story, and it'll all tell you what they want.
Okay.
So it worked.
All right.
Some of the best input we got.
A surf lake?
Yeah, it's a company out of Australia. It's a unique concept. It's got like a big 80-foot plunger like in the middle that raises up and drops.
A wave pool.
It makes barrel roll waves.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
the city wasn't paying for it.
No.
And I think that's where people got confused, thinking the city's paying for it. But nonetheless,
I'm here for it.
We got a lot of good input.
There's no outlet for that.
That was my point. Bring them to Central, let them spend their money, and then let them go home.
You didn't want to go NASCAR track?
Well, I mean, NASCAR's on the decline. I read an article the other day where they're losing viewership.
I don't doubt that.
I've never been a big fan of sitting there watching NASCAR.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it's not important. There's obviously a lot of people that
but
love it.
like,
But
what do you think he's going to do next? Turn left?
Yeah, it's never been my thing.
Right.
And look, I love that people love soccer, but to me, that's just hard to watch.
Yeah. Same.
So, and you and I have talked about basketball before, I'm a fan of youth basketball, but I can't stand to watch it once you get up higher.
The dimensions don't adjust to the player.
Right.
I think there's something to be said for that. Like,
maybe they should make the goal 12 foot.
Right.
Yeah.
I know it's like a classic white man argument to say.
Well, I can't jump.
That's right. But like, when you are in 5th grade, you play on a 10-foot goal.
Right.
When you are 26 years old, you play on a 10-foot
7'2",
goal.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. When you're 5'4", 7'2", you're playing on the same size goal.
Right.
Like, if you can make it up the court and back in like 4 steps, it's when you've got that kind of gait, that kind of stride. The comp here is that's why arena football doesn't catch on.
Right.
Arena football ought to be awesome because you're right up on top of the action and they smack into the walls. Like, it ought to be amazing. But to see that level of speed on that small of a field,
I think we're conditioned to like what we like.
Yeah. But like, if you were to broaden out basketball's court, I don't know by how much.
Right.
But like when you go from high school to college, just stretch the length of the court, raise the goal up a little bit.
How long we got?
About a minute.
It's kind of like when the NFL went on strike back in the 80s.
Yeah.
It just wasn't the same watching people who wasn't as good.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Right.
it's one thing when you expect college players to not be as good as pro players, but when you're watching pros and they're not performing like pros, it's just a different world.
We got John Fourcade out of it.
I mean,
Actually, when you back it up, didn't we? No,
You got-
A-Bear was the USFL.
and then we picked up He Hate Me, whoever that guy was.
Oh, yeah. No, that was XFL.
I
That
know,
was-
but he ended up coming pro.
Yeah. For about a week.
Yeah. That's a machine, man. Shiloh Sanders is suffering from thinking he's going to be special. That's why they cut him.
Shiloh or Shador?
Shador, I mean.
Yeah.
You're a rookie, man. You can't come in here acting like that.
There is a steep learning curve in the NFL, and it's not as forgiving as other sports.
It's a business.
Debbie says watching golf. Now, golf is one I can watch in person, not on TV.
Well, the cool thing on TV is you see all the good shots.
Right. Yeah, the TV broadcast of golf is just a highlight reel.
Yeah.
Here we go. 737 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Any excuse I can get to bring Central's mayor into studio, I'm going to do that. He's here with us now. Wade Evans is in. Welcome back, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. I'm good, as always. God is good.
Yes, always. All the time. And let's rewind the clock back to Thursday, just kind of set the table for what we're talking about today. Senator Bill Cassidy introduced his Halt Fentanyl Act. We were over there at the state archives in their auditorium. A number of people were sharing stories of their own personal loss, own personal tragedy. A family member, displayed in a picture. A couple of people told their stories along the way. Tanja Miles told her story of 30-year addiction recovery, and then
powerful.
She is incredible. And then you were there as well. So I'm not going to step on it or set it up any further.
No,
you can walk us through from the time you hit the microphone and why.
Yeah, we've been putting this together. Candace Cowart with Louisiana Blue, working with her. Louisiana Blue, or Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana, put out a fentanyl kills campaign, and we've done some local awareness campaigns at some churches. And what we're finding is parents have their head in the sand, and they don't want to believe it's going to happen to them. However, just in Central, we average about 2 unresponsives a week, if you will. Maybe more than that. But the reality is you're losing about 210 people a day nationwide. So that's the equivalent of an airplane full of people crashing every day, and we're losing all of them. And so we were at that event. We had an event planned for later that day to kick off the Victoria's Voice Save Our Children campaign, which is something we're doing with opioid money from the opioid settlement. And it just happened on the same day, which, again, when I talk about God is good, it lined up. Cassidy's event was at 1. Our event at Blue Cross was at 3. We were invited to Cassidy's event. Mayor McDavid and I were there on the stage. And I just leaned forward and told him, hey, we got some stuff I want to talk about. And he was gracious enough to give me the mic. And I was able to talk about what we're doing with Victoria's Voice. We're trying to get into every middle and high school in this parish with Victoria's Voice, as well as Fentanyl Fathers, to do a presentation to help these kids understand nothing is safe. One pill can and will kill you if there's no Narcan available. And so we have to remove the stigma of families that are dealing with addiction. We have to make it okay for the lady whose son is addicted to talk about it with her friends and not be shamed. And we have to acknowledge the fact that it's everywhere. You can't even buy marijuana and trust it anymore. I mean, they're spraying it with fentanyl. It's wild.
And I think that last part is the biggest part of it, because on the addiction front, it's what we're seeing here is, and what we saw on Thursday was the doctor from the Mandeville Covington area. son was Doctor's son was studying for exams. Needed, I believe it was an Adderall. His friends like, here, take this. It'll help you out for exams. And it was laced with fentanyl, and he was lost almost immediately.
We're seeing kids buy these drugs off of Snapchat, and they think they're buying a Xanax.
Right.
And they think they're taking a simple Xanax.
Was it a Xanax or I'm trying to remember.
I think it was a Xanax because he was dealing with anxiety, wasn't able to sleep.
Right. That's right.
And, but the reality is if you're not getting it from a pharmacy, I wouldn't touch it.
Exactly.
Because it will kill you. We see it repeatedly across the capital region. That's why all 5 of the mayors of this parish have bought in heavily into this awareness campaign and are encouraging their school systems to take it serious, because we have to stop acting like it's not happening.
Right.
We lost a child last year in the city of Central as we were near graduation because of fentanyl poisoning. And we don't call it overdose. We call it poisoning because that's what it is.
Well, yeah, and I see. I've always wondered about this because we continually call it fentanyl, but you can get fentanyl in the hospital. This is not that.
Right. It's unchecked.
Right.
They're making it with pill presses. You can get a pack of pills that you buy on the street, and they can be blister packs and look like they're professionally done.
Right.
And half of them will be, 100% fentanyl. You have labs making these. They're not labs. They're clandestine labs making these things. So you don't know what you're getting.
Right.
And so the goal is to get kids and their families. Look, we've lost a generation, unfortunately. Tanja and the work she's doing, they're embedded with the police to actually help people who are overdosing not only survive because of the fentanyl, the Narcan, but to try to get them in treatment. There's a better way.
Right. From 2017 to 2022, every year was a record year for deaths, fentanyl deaths, opioid overdose deaths, fentanyl poisoning deaths. Every year was a record year. 2023 was the first time we saw a break in it, and if I'm not mistaken, I think we went right back to a record for 24.
Yeah, and you can attribute that drop to the awareness and the knowledge that we all have. So what happens is, we all the leaders of these cities get the notifications
right
when something happens, and so when we see an uptick, we can communicate. That allows Tanja and her team to go embed in areas where we know because we know you can notice when you get a bad batch, if you will.
Okay.
You can see the calls tick up, which
right.
means there's a bad batch out here. And so using data to target the affected areas has helped bring it down. Unfortunately, they're doing it with everything now.
Right.
Like I said, you can't even trust a bag of marijuana anymore.
The laws are always going to be playing catch up. Laws are always reactive to a situation,
right.
very rarely proactive as well. But in this case, we saw a new law passed in 2022 out of the state Senate. It started on the state Senate side. Another law in 2023 that started on the House side. That was John Stefanski's law. And now we've got the Halt Fentanyl Act on a federal level. How long before the laws are able to catch up with where we're at?
Well, I think you have to start making examples out of the dealers. However, the dealers know that, the suppliers know that for every dealer that goes to jail, they can find another dealer.
Mm-hmm.
And the dealer knows that every person they kill, well, you'll have 5 or 6 more line up to get the drugs. Right. And so it's a holistic approach. Yeah, you need to put the bad guys away, but you need to, this in many cases starts from a simple surgery. Somebody will have a dental procedure. They get Lortabs and they take them. And then before you know it, they get addicted. Your body gets addicted so fast and you can never get that again. Right. So you're constantly chasing that feeling.
Right. And those that get addicted, sometimes they're addicted to the oxycodone or hydrocodone, and then the prescription just gets cut off.
Right.
And there's no recourse through your doctor's office to say, whoa, like I'm feeling something here that needs
right.
I got that.
Yeah, I need to wean this off.
Right. So you're left with the addiction, but no way to treat it until through normal means.
Yeah, and these are people who are productive members of our society.
Oh yeah.
Just end up in a bad situation, have an injury, and before you know it, their whole life's thrown away because of the opioids.
Right.
And so the holistic approach is let's address the youth today that we haven't lost yet.
Yeah.
Let's make them aware. Let's help the families recognize the warning signs, which is what Victoria's Voice Foundation does. The Fentanyl Fathers group is a group of fathers who've lost their children. And look, this cuts across every racial line, every economic line. It doesn't matter. And so the cool thing about Fentanyl Fathers is it doesn't matter the demographic we're talking to. We have speakers.
Mm-hmm.
We have speakers that, because we can relate, you know, it's a real thing. And I just applaud these families who are willing to stand up and not let their child's life just be lost.
Well, a collection of families that was on stage on Thursday.
powerful.
It was very, very powerful. And to hear the stories be so varied and yet at the same time so intertwined.
Exactly. So you had that was an example of the reality that it doesn't matter your socioeconomic status.
Right.
You had doctors, you know, children. You've had just regular families who are just trying to make it through the day. It doesn't matter. It's kind of like flood water. It doesn't discriminate.
Yeah. No. Exactly. That's a very, very apt analogy right there. And as invasive and pervasive.
Yes.
There is no nook and cranny of society that floodwater can't get to. There's no nook and cranny of society that something traced or laced with fentanyl can't get to as well. I look, as a father of three, and my oldest is in her freshman year in college right now. This is one of the things that I feel like I can't hammer home enough.
Look, it's scary. It's scary because, you know, kids in college. I mean, I was there. You know, I got a test coming up. Let me just get Adderall.
Yep.
You know, but now the Adderall will kill you. You know, if you get the wrong one, it will kill you.
Yeah, and there's literally no way to know unless it comes across the counter at a pharmacy. That's
Correct.
The only viable outlet right there.
Yeah, we went to D.C. for National Naloxone Awareness Day in June, and that's the day that Victoria died. The Siegel family started the foundation 10 years ago when their daughter Victoria died. But, you know, the big thing is we need to take the prosecution of this and make it federal, because we have too many judges at the local level that have just too much discretion, if you will.
Yeah.
And, you know, while we have great laws, if you have discretion from a judge who may be an activist judge, then you know what that gets you.
Well, it gets you access if you are, you know, connected.
Right.
It gets you a slap on the wrist if you have a sympathetic judge. There's nothing uniform about it, and there's certainly nothing punishing about it.
Right. Yeah, so we actually were lobbying Congress when I was up there in D.C. to look at changing this to a federal statute to make it mandatory sentencing, even for possession. You know, okay, you don't want to stop, then if you get caught with it, you're going to serve 5 years minimum.
Yeah, and you can't plead ignorance.
Right.
And that's one of the things that Stefanski's law did here in Louisiana. It changed the game, and we've talked with law enforcement about this numerous times, is that if you are caught with, whatever that weight is to add with intent to distribute on, you can't plead ignorance if your stuff is laced with fentanyl, whether it's marijuana or something much, much worse. If you are selling something that has fentanyl in it, you are selling poison.
When they're adding it, and the thing, they're adding it to everything because they want to enhance the high you get from whatever you're buying from them.
Right. And you run that risk of either being hooked and a regular customer or dead.
Yeah, I mean, you got drug dealers now giving Narcan out with the supply. Tanja talked about it the other day. I'm like, these guys are actively handing them Narcan. Now, look, if you're in an overdose situation, if nobody's there to administer, you're done.
Right. But, I mean, if you're offering the Narcan as like, you know, buy two, get one free, then it's, you know, you're not opening up a checking account.
It's a tragedy.
It absolutely is. In the meanwhile, we want to raise awareness about it every chance we get, so I appreciate you coming in this morning.
Brian, thanks for having me on.
He is Central Mayor Wade Evans. We always appreciate the time. We got Your Money Now coming your way right now. Coming back, the new Live After 5 lineup is out. We'll give it a quick breakdown. That's coming up next. Oh, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
No, always.
Live After 5, the mayor's Juneteenth celebration that he did. We had a comedian on stage. I was one of the only white guys there. What's it, Monique or Dr. Whatever her name is. She asked me, "You want to go speak?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go speak." I got up on stage. I'm like, "Look, I'm coming up here because the comedian hadn't busted my balls yet. Being the only white guy in the crowd, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it."
How'd that go over?
Oh, they laughed.
Awesome.
It was heavy. Y'all be good.
You too. Appreciate it, Wade. for a call real quick. We're going to pivot. That song every break on Friday.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah. 7:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We're going to pivot real quick. We were going to talk live after 5 in that lineup. But I just got word from a buddy of mine who actually lives along the Tangipahoa River. And I want to see if I can't squeeze in a quick on-scene update from Tangipahoa Parish. Pat Mashburn, he's the author of Just Breathe. We have him on when it's suicide awareness time. But going to grab him right here. Pat, how are you, brother?
Doing good considering, when the explosion happened on Friday, I just really didn't have any concept of how far it could reach. And I was actually in Baton Rouge that night, but a friend mentioned yesterday that, who lives in my area, that I might want to check it out. And so I went out to the river and you could see kind of like it looked darker, but you could smell oil and diesel. And I'm probably maybe about following the path of the river, about 12 miles away from where the explosion happened.
And when you say 12 miles away, we're assuming you're 12 miles downriver, right?
Yeah, 12 miles downriver. And so as soon as I noticed it, I texted the parish president, Robbie Miller, and he said that they had crews that were working on it. So I imagine that the worst is yet to come.
One would have to think so. Now they put out berms to hopefully stop the stop the flow here, but just give us a sense of just how heavy, how thick, the smells, the sights, the sounds.
Well, so within a 5-hour period yesterday, from like 11 o'clock until 4 o'clock, I could see the tone of the water change dramatically. And then as I went down to my dock and took a closer look, you could kind of see, like whenever you've seen oil or gas in the water, whenever you've been on the river, you can see like little rainbow colors or patterns in the river. So you can tell that there's definitely some chemicals in the river.
Right.
But when I woke up this morning and went outside, the smell had gotten more pronounced. I mean, you could definitely tell that something was there.
As far as the air itself, I mean, it's just stepping away from the river. As far as the air itself, has the smoke gotten to y'all down there?
I haven't seen any smoke yet. I mean, I left the house this morning probably at the time you got to work, and so I really couldn't see anything. But I'm headed back there now, and I'll be able to get a better sense. But I know, as the water has changed, we'll probably be seeing more remnants of that as well too.
Got just a minute or so here left with Pat Mashburn, who actually lives along the Tangipahoa River and has gotten kind of a firsthand look. You said you spoke with Robbie Miller. He's on my call sheet for tomorrow. Tangipahoa's parish president. What's your sense of how bad he thinks it's going to get?
Well, I mean, I just had a texting conversation, and I just gave him a heads up of how far it's reached, and he said he had crews working on it, and I know that the sheriff has focused his efforts on it too. So it's a really good combined effort, along with the Department of Homeland Security, it's in the same, like, 1 block away from the sheriff's department. So they work pretty well in concert with each other.
In the meanwhile, I think the biggest part here, Pat, is your distance from this scene is give me the not an exact mile per mile, but you're about what? Because you're closer to Robert.
Yes, I'm off the Robert exit towards off of Highway 22. So to give you a perspective, I'm just on the north side of Highway 22.
So you're south of I-12, just to kind of put that in perspective.
I'm in between I-12 and Highway 22.
And you said you could see the changes as of Friday evening. So I'm sure it's still like that as of this morning, if not worse. In the meanwhile, it's man, I appreciate you reaching out, Pat. We'll talk soon, but thanks for hopping on board.
All right, buddy. Anytime.
Thank you, Pat Mashburn, reporting from along the Tangipahoa River. We've got hour 3 coming up next. What's up, Rich? Oh. 3 mile run yesterday. Well, one walk. Still walk 1 mile run. Got bad knees. I just talked to a guy who lives along the Tangipahoa River. What's going on there? A bunch of oil in the river because of the explosion. Yeah. Did you get any mileage out of the Poet Laureate thing? Oh, man. That's freaking Delgado. Like, look, I don't aspire to be a poet, but as an LSU alum, I take a little more pride in saying that our Poet Laureate shouldn't come from a community college. You're an institute of higher learning. My thing is, I gave the Poet Laureate award, Poet of the Year award. I'm a guy who's 10, 11, 12-year-old who's involved in the kid's life, and they can buy him a BB gun. That's something. That's a start. That is a start. It is a start. Siblings, that's a start. Well, and then you teach them how to scale a fence. That's just good. That new $12 million inspirational center supposed to open up like in September. Yeah, at Howell Park. Yeah, that's going to be a whale of a business. That's going to turn it all around. Hey, Rich. I think Pat Chigurh, besides the coach, needs to give out babies. It just shows the need, Rich. I think Darryl Hurst. You know what Darryl Hurst and the Peddling for Peace? They need to do the Lance Armstrong. Put needles in their ass. They need to pedal more. Get faster. Yeah, explosion happened Friday, and he's already seen it Friday evening. Like that got downriver fast. Like where he's at. See, if it got to his house on Friday, it's long since already in the Lake Pontchartrain. My son keeps talking about K-pop Demon Hunter. What is it?
Oh, I don't know. I just know the band. It's one of my favorite bands.
Oh, it's
Demon
a
Hunter.
band?
No, Demon Hunter is completely different than the K-pop thing. But yeah, I
Well,
think
K-pop is a whole genre.
right.
Genre.
Yeah. Yeah, completely different. Demon Hunter, definitely a metal band. But yeah. Nonetheless.
Oh.
I don't know. Any Demon Hunter fans in the chat? Monday.
What up? There are way too many sports birthdays today. This is awesome.
Oh, that's good stuff. It's always a good day when there's content, you know?
Yeah, I'm knocking it down to the top 6.
Oh, that many. Okay.
5. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. 806 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. We're up to 78 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge to start off your third hour. Talking with Moo Griffon, talking everything under the sun with Moo Griffon. Coming up in our next segment. Moon, I believe, will be back in town tomorrow. Looking forward to that conversation. Also, State Senator Chuck Owen on the hotline at 8:35. We're having the carbon capture discussion, and we are open to all voices. I can tell you right now, Chuck is not a fan. Not a fan of the carbon capture. Not a fan of collecting millions and billions of dollars. We'll get into it. I'm going to do my level, but look, the whole purpose of the conversation, he will speak his piece. I will retort where needed, but I'm not here to argue. Just let him speak his piece. So, Chuck Owen coming up 8:35. Man, just to follow up real quick, and thanks again to Pat Mashburn for hopping on board right there with telling us how things are looking. Closer to Robert, Highway 445. Robert near Highway 22. He's right on the Tangipahoa River, and Pat was saying in our last segment, he saw the oil and the darker streaks in the river and the oily streaks in the river, that sheen that's on top of it on Friday. Now think about it, the explosion happened on Friday. And you're talking like just north of Highway 22, so you're south of I-12. This happened up north of Amite. Roseland's north of Amite. So within the same day, it got to him there. It got to Pat there from Amite from Roseland all the way down to Robert, all the way down to Highway 22. By my math, if you're following that same speed within the river, well, this has been dumping into Lake Pontchartrain all weekend. Tangipahoa River dumps into Lake Pontchartrain. So, my goodness. Berm goes out there to hopefully contain things a little bit. Hopefully there's a back into it where it stops being awful. But we're talking a couple days worth of all this just dumping into the lake. So we'll get updates. I think we get an update tomorrow morning. No one tomorrow morning. Hopefully we can connect with Robbie Miller, the Tangipahoa Parish president. Right now, though, it's time for This Day in History. Boppity-bop-beep-bop.
All right. Beginning in the year 325, Brian. Church history here. First Council of Nicaea ends with adoption of the Nicene Creed.
Yeah.
Establishing the doctrine of the Holy Trinity.
Yep.
That was today. 1609. Galileo demonstrates his first telescope to Venetian lawmakers, including the Doge of Venice, Leonardo Donato.
What?
Yeah. First telescope.
Wait, Galileo presented this to who?
Leonardo Donato.
Okay. What about Venice? The Venetian what?
Oh, the Doge ruler of Venice. Oh, he was the Doge. He was the Doge of Venice.
Awesome.
What?
I don't know. So random.
It is random, but it leads to the next one, which these two kind of piggybacked on each other. So
okay, go for it.
So 1835, the New York Sun publishes the Great Moon Hoax story about John Herschel, who claimed he had discovered life, landscapes, and fantastical creatures on the moon through a powerful telescope.
He ain't
so
wrong.
Not the first.
There are people on the moon.
Right?
There's little moon people, Moonanites. Yeah. The
and
Moonanites are up there.
And he's like, look, I saw this through a powerful telescope. What can we see? No. You can't. I won't let you.
No. Doesn't mean he's wrong.
That's right.
You don't know about the Moonanites.
That's the Moonanites. Oh, man. 1932, Amelia Earhart completes a transcontinental nonstop flight, the first by a woman, landing in Newark, New Jersey.
Yep.
We were talking about this earlier, off air. Mayor Wade Evans and I, when he saw me researching this. 1958, the first package of pre-cooked instant noodles, chicken ramen, was introduced today.
No way!
1958, ramen noodles.
And happy birthday to ramen.
That's it. 1965, two female Beatles fans hired a helicopter to fly over the house of the Beatles. They were actually renting the house in Beverly Hills, California, and jumped from the helicopter into the swimming pool.
Yes, let's go.
Like, oh man,
deep end.
Deep end.
Or, no, because I mean, if they hit the shallow end, then like,
yeah, somebody's hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, the rest of they died. No, 1970. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was a kiddie pool. It was a kiddie pool.
Oh, that's so wrong.
I know it is. You know what else? You know what? No, this isn't wrong. This is right. Hey, 1970, Elton John made his U.S. live debut when he kicked off a 17-day tour at the Troubadour in Los Angeles.
Okay.
In the audience that night were Don Henley, Quincy Jones, and Leon Russell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty star-studded audience.
Yeah. 1975, Bruce Springsteen released his third studio album, Born to Run, and has been considered by critics to be one of the greatest albums in pop music.
Sure. I'm just not a Springsteen fan.
Not big on it, but from this album, Born to Run and 10th Avenue Freeze Out.
Okay, 10th Avenue Freeze Out's a jam. I'll hop on board with that one.
Yeah. Let's see. Also keeping it music here. 2001, singer Leah and 8 others are killed in a plane crash in the Bahamas.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was today.
Yeah. Ooh, this is one. 2010, panic caused by escaped crocodile being smuggled aboard domestic flare flight leads to crash. Leads to a crash.
So this
There's
falls under the
escaped
shark alligator rule here.
Yep.
Crocodiles on a plane?
Yes. Oh man, yeah, this happened in the Dominican Republic of the Congo, killing all but one of the 21 passengers and crew.
Okay.
Wow, insane. Anything else on this day?
Yes, on this day in 2005, 20 years ago today, Hurricane Katrina made landfall in Florida before entering the Gulf of Mexico.
That's right.
Birthdays.
Sean Connery.
Okay.
Starting off this list.
Yeah, start off with the big one right there. Sean Connery, yes.
Along with Tim Burton.
Yep.
Billy Ray Cyrus today. Gene Simmons as well today.
Billy Ray Cyrus and Gene Simmons share a birthday. That in and of itself makes it awesome.
Regis Philbin as well.
All right, you got Regis Philbin on the list.
Let's see. I knew I had one more. Elvis Costello as well today.
Wow.
Also, Kel Mitchell. Keenan and Kel.
Oh, yeah. The one who hasn't been on Saturday Night Live for 20 years.
That's right.
World of Sports, we're like stacked up here. Okay, LSU fans remember former Ole Miss running back and I guess he's listed as a wide receiver. Dexter McCluster, born on this day in 1989. Hall of Fame Colts wide receiver Marvin Harrison, born on this day in 1972. Born on this day in 1965, former Bills linebacker. Also, I believe he played for Alabama. That would be Cornelius Bennett. It's Raleigh Fingers' birthday, the greatest mustache in the history of baseball. And while we're talking baseball, how about a former LSU Tiger, Albert Bell, born on this day in 1966?
All right. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, you talk about stack. Awesome. Let's see. Moving on to deaths here. Neil Armstrong today. This day in 2012. Of course, I mentioned Aaliyah earlier. And Friedrich Nietzsche.
Nietzsche. Yeah. The one who said God is dead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Come on, Nietzsche.
Oh, he missed out. Also, got
John
one
McCain
more
as
for
well.
you. Go.
John McCain.
Yeah, John McCain was the other one I had.
Oh, it was? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, what national day is it?
Oh, man. Wear Kiss Makeup? Oh, no. It's Kiss and Makeup Day.
Okay, but like,
I don't.
Makeup is in you wear makeup like Kiss.
No, it's listen to Kiss and wear makeup.
Yeah.
No, it's really Kiss and Makeup Day.
But it's like
But
it's like a pun.
Yeah.
Oh, is it a pun on Kiss or
It
is
is.
it okay? There you go. And it's also National Banana Split Day.
It is.
It's also 8:15, which means we're running late. Quick break. Moo Griffon's next.
Moon.
Oh, I want to go back to Ashley in the chat, who asked me about discrepancies with the Katrina documentary. They allowed a couple people to tell stories with absolutely zero due diligence behind them. There was one story told by a guy who said NOPD cars coming up Convention Center Boulevard.
Hey, Moon. This is John over here.
Guys asking, a guy walks up to the car and asks when the buses are coming to get him out of there.
Interview today.
He felt like he was being ignored. He turned around, and according to the story, NOPD pulled a shotgun out and shot the guy dead right there on Convention Center Boulevard in full view of everybody else. They had no follow-up to determine if that was true. So after two parts of a documentary where they're talking about the lawlessness was not where it was, blah, blah, blah. They turn around and tell an unsubstantiated story, which was exactly what they were decrying in the previous two segments. So I didn't like that discrepancy. Also, if you stuck around for part 5, the aftermath, the aftermath was dookie because you had Mayor Morial and a number of others wanted to put together a plan where the lower Ninth Ward had a lot of retention ponds and flood mitigation efforts, but that meant tearing down a few houses. And the people stood in solidarity to say, you can't tear down this house. This is my home. And then fast forward by 2 years, and they tore down homes and put in retention ponds and waterway parks and whatnot. And you had that discrepancy as well. And then on top of that, nary a mention of how difficult it was to determine what property belonged to whom afterwards. So there were those, and also there were a couple of other things leading up to the storm. I have to go back through it individually to get all of them, but do we not have Moon?
I even text them.
Okay.
I left them a voicemail.
We'll go back to the Katrina stuff.
Okay. Any specific? The cuts 4, 5,
yeah.
and 6.
818 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We are stacked up for a huge week, y'all. A couple of programming notes real quick. Number one, we're trying to get a hold of Moon right now. He's going to be back in town tomorrow. Moon was in town on Friday. He could be back in town again tomorrow doing a show live from right here in our studios. Also, kind of a quick preview for tomorrow. Will Green, President and CEO of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, normally joins us on a Monday at 7:35. However, later on, it's either later today or early tomorrow, the lobby legislative scorecard is going to be coming out. And we'll have the first crack at Will to talk about how different legislators did on, different bills pertaining to different topics, whether you're talking about, education and workforce development, energy, environmental quality, tax bills, insurance bills, any of the bills that lobby wanted to keep an eye on. Their scorecards out now. We will break that down tomorrow with Will Green from LABI. Also, looking ahead to tomorrow, I'm hoping to run down Robbie Miller. He is the parish president over in Tangipahoa Parish. Want to talk about the explosions and subsequent fire at Smitty's Supply and what the repercussions are, what the ramifications are. How bad is this going to get? When you're talking about, there's not a whole lot of huge employers in Roseland. Smitty's is a pretty big one right there. And Roseland is not a very big town. So there's that aspect of it. And then when you broaden out parish-wide, last hour we talked with Pat Mashburn, who lives on the Tangipahoa River, but closer to Robert. He's way further down river. And he saw the oil in he went down to his dock in his backyard, saw the oil in the water on Friday, which meant no matter when that berm was put out, a whole bunch has already made it into Lake Pontchartrain. So we'll talk about environmental impacts, hopefully, if we can connect with Robbie Miller tomorrow. Tell you what, we'll talk a little Hurricane Katrina here in just a quick second. Heading into the last hour, when we get the chance to talk with Pat Mashburn about what was going on over in Tangipahoa. I was supposed to run down the Live After 5 lineup, and we postponed that. So let's take a quick minute and revisit. Live After 5's lineup is out. It's been out for a little over a week now, but we've yet to break it down, and it doesn't start until September 12th, so we've had a little bit of time here. The Live After 5 lineup is as follows. Chubby Carrier and the Bayou Swamp Band going to kick things off on September 12th. Give me one quick second. Texting a future guest. The Walrus, a NOLA Beatles experience on September 19th. You ever heard of the Walrus, JP?
No.
Okay. A NOLA Beatles experience. That should be interesting. All right. New conversation in the chat, and I know we've been heavy all day today, so let's do something a little bit light. Your take on what you like to see at Live After 5, what you like to see when you go see live music. Do you like original? Do you like covers? Or a tribute band? I'm assuming the Walrus is a tribute band. It's going to be all Beatles the whole way through, right?
Wonder which era of the Beatles. You know?
That's a good question. Well, September 26th, Timothy Wayne featuring the Lauren Lee Band. October 10th, the New Orleans Suspects. I'll be emceeing that one. October 17th, Fat Hat. Fat with a PH. Fat Hat. And then they're going to wrap up, and I'll be emceeing this one as well. October 24th, the Mixed Nuts. Let's go.
Right.
All right. I'm a big cover band guy. I enjoy, yes, I enjoy a good cover band.
Yeah.
I know I'm so lame. I'm
No,
so not hip.
I wasn't going to say that to your face.
But I'm a play the hits guy.
Right.
If I wanted to hear your music, I would have heard it already. Okay. Right. I don't need to hear your brooding, deep cut, no one's ever heard it, everyone else is a sellout, you guys all suck, I'm the only good musician out there. I don't need to hear all that. Play the hits, baby. That's what the Mixed Nuts do. That's what I'm here for. Like high energy. They got the video board behind them. Once they start, they don't stop. Like once they start, they start at an 11 and they keep it at an 11 the entire until they take their intermission, and then they roll it back again. It's high energy the whole time.
A band that's an experience to see.
It's an experience to see. Yes. And yeah, they're playing someone else's music. And yes, I don't care. It sounds good. It's what I'm here for. October 24th ought to be cooled off a little bit. Wait, how'd I luck out on that one? I'm not emceeing till October. I don't get the, afternoon full of back sweat ones. Any Hoosers. Let's chat over on Facebook Live. I'll get in there when we get to our news break coming up in a little bit. Right now, though, before we pivot and head back up to, in our 6 o'clock hour, we talked about Hurricane Katrina. This week marks the 20th anniversary. We'll get back into that in just a moment. I do need to remind you about the folks over at Neurojust. In fact, I'm trying to run them down for the Katrina anniversary show as well to talk a little PTSD. Because that's one of the things they do over there at Neurojust. They specialize in a treatment called transcranial magnetic stimulation. TMS is what it is. It's an FDA-approved, non-invasive treatment for depression and anxiety. And if you suffer from depression and anxiety, you know what a constant flight or fight battle does to you. It's exhausting. That's how anxiety leads to depression, is just the tank gets empty. What TMS does is it uses magnetic pulses to stimulate areas of the brain involved in mood regulation. There's no medications involved. This is non-invasive. It is non-addictive. If you or someone you know or love has been suffering from anxiety or depression, and they have not seen the results from traditional therapy, they have not seen the results from the prescription meds, if they're showing the side effects and or diminishing returns of prescription meds, check out neurojust.com, Neurojust, neurojust.com, to learn more about TMS and what they can be doing for you over there at Neurojust. All right. 825 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. If you were listening in the 6 o'clock hour, you already heard a good chunk of what we're going to be talking about here, because the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina is coming up on Friday. The 20th anniversary of it making landfall in Louisiana is coming up Friday. Louisiana and Mississippi, oh, by the way. The folks over at Nat Geo have a documentary out that a lot of us are watching. Very, very popular right now, at least in my social media feed it is. It's called Hurricane Katrina, Race Against Time. Christy and I just finished it last night, and I got to tell you, it has been difficult, to say the least, to walk back down this path. To rewind the clock by 20 years and be just reminded of how devastating the storm was. Even here, an hour removed from New Orleans, we can vividly remember. Okay, let's do something as simple as this. Who can remember tailgating for LSU football while the Maravich Assembly Center was being used as a triage center? Who can remember the sound of helicopters going to and from the PMAC down to New Orleans and back constantly? I lived in Old Jefferson at the time, which was, right on the flight path. And it got to the point where the helicopters were just so much there, they were just background noise. The helicopters flying back and forth were just so often, so frequent. You were just used to it. And watching this documentary and watching, going back, seeing, the rescues that happened, the rescues that didn't happen, the people stuck in the Superdome, the people stuck at the Montreal Convention Center, and for that matter, the people stuck on Stupid. Going back and watching this, everything, pardon the pun, everything flooded right back. All the memories of just how unbelievably desperate this situation was. Coming up on Friday, we're going to do a Hurricane Katrina anniversary show. Yes, we'll leave some room to preview LSU football, but for the most part, it's going to be a Katrina anniversary show. We're going to talk with a couple different folks. Ed Bush is with the National Guard. I've been texting back and forth with him a little bit. Long and the short of his story, first man in, last man out the Superdome. He's featured very heavily in this Nat Geo documentary. He's going to join us on Friday. My mentor, the guy who first hired me, Matt Kennedy. He was with WJBO at the time. And WJBO Studios got taken over by the United Radio broadcasters. Matt's going to hop on board. Oh, and by the way, speaking of the United Radio broadcasters, Dave Cohen from WWL News, his story is just fantastic. And I've told this story a million times, on air, off air, whatever. I was just starting in radio at the time. Hurricane Katrina was, that was where I made my bones. I mean, there was so many opportunities to work because there were so many people that needed help, like just in the radio world in the aftermath of Katrina. And I got to work very close with everybody down in New Orleans for a good 4 or 5 months. And to be that up close and personal with that many people who were just commuting back and forth on a daily basis, managing between, on the front end, managing between trying to know what room they were in, what day it was, while they're talking on the phone with people who are literally trapped in their attics, to when am I going to have an opportunity to go back to my house? When am I going to have the opportunity? When are they going to open up I-10 back into the city again to where I can assess my own damage and start putting my life back together? Got to see firsthand that level of anger and frustration. The commutes, the unbelievably long hours, the seemingly never ending stack of tragedy, just one after another, story after story after story. So we're going to talk about it on Friday as much as we possibly can, cover it from as many different possible angles that are out there that time will allow. Right now, time is short. We're coming up on 8:30 at Talk 107.3 FM. I should say we're at 8:30. We're coming up on news.
Moon just texted me, said he had to step out for a meeting.
No worries.
Yeah, I was texting Moon on Saturday. I met his son, Derek.
Really?
Yeah. So, well, long story short, I didn't know his son was a pastor.
Oh.
And I took my youth group students to, it's called The Forge at a meet. It's actually in a meet. Anyway, so he was the keynote speaker. But yeah, pretty wild story. I don't want to go on about it, but yeah, met his son. It was cool.
Cool.
But he was introduced as Griffin, Derek Griffin. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. But if it wasn't for Moon telling me what church he went to the day before on Friday, I wouldn't have even thought anything of it. Then I was like, Griffin, okay. Well, while he's speaking, I'm Googling him. I'm literally like, Griffin, Griffin. Right. Yeah, so I Google him, get brought to church website, and I'm like, oh, it is Griffon. Anyway, so after he speaks, I'm in the back. I'm kind of keeping some eye on some students. I'm like, hey, I was like, do you know a Moon Griffon? He's like, that's my pops. And I was like, oh. I was like, dude, your dad. It was just funny. I'm like, so Griffin, what's up? He's like, it's just easier just to go with Griffin and not. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, long story short, it was like, man, it's funny. Byron says, I like bands with a good brass section for outdoor concerts. Yeah, you can't really beat that, man. That's good stuff.
Michael Foster Project. It's like they are the best in Baton Rouge. You give me the Michael Foster Project all day long. When the Michael Foster Project is on the rundown for Live After 5, so I don't always attend the promotions meeting because I'm not the program director.
Yeah.
Cade goes to those. But when I see Michael Foster Project on that rundown, I'm in that meeting. I need this one. And you know what? We have a rock station. We have a country station. So everybody's like, yeah, take it. Because it's such a good time. Yep. The crowd is always just like overwhelming. Like overwhelmingly large crowd. But it's the perfect, like, it's such a chill vibe. And they'll do a little line dancing. Because, I know I'm going to say this until I get in trouble for saying it. Anything is a line dance if you're white enough or black enough. Oh, what's crazy? If you look up Michael Foster Project on YouTube.
Hi, this is John with Brian Haldane. Looking to have you on here another 2 minutes or so. All right, thank you.
If you look up Michael Foster Project on YouTube, you'll see their Live After 5 performance, and I was emceeing it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, me and I forget who it was from Channel 9. Did Governor Landry say Asphalt Ferry? God bless.
Oh, is it the Bunny Hop? The Entourage Bunny Hop performed live by the Michael Foster Project? Live After 5?
The whole set's in there. Like their whole concert.
Oh, okay. That was the first video I've seen. I just wanted to make sure.
One. You ever send a text to somebody and you got to go back and make sure you sent it to the right person?
All the time.
Yeah. Like when you want to respond to a group chat and a side chat, you're like, please tell me that wasn't in the fucking group chat.
Isn't it funny how everyone does that?
Yeah,
You
no,
have
we all
that
do it.
person in the chat
We
that
all
you're
do
like,
it, but and then like the anxiety, that momentary anxiety, if you send of like, please tell me this wasn't.
Ooh.
And if you unsend a message, you know they could pull it back up again, even if it's unsent.
Dangerous.
838 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time to dive back into the discussion of carbon capture, usage, and sequestration. And in an effort to be open to every voice that's out there, pro and con, positive and negative, we welcome to the show State Senator Chuck Owen. How are you, sir?
Man, good morning. I'm doing well, Brian. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you for using correct dialect. Very good. Very good for using the correct description. I was expecting you to ask me what I thought of carbon capture. It's like that's not all the story.
No, usage and sequestration fit into this as well. So,
Yes, very much so.
Sequestration, not as much as usage. Usage is tomorrow's story. Usage is a story for 4 or 5 years from now. But for now, let's stick with what is in front of us immediately. I'm just going to give you the floor as an open floor. Roll with your takes.
Well, here's what's going on, Brian. I live in Vernon Parish, and for the people of the capital area who don't know where that is, if you look at Alexandria, I'm an hour west. Okay, I'm right on the western side of the state, the second largest parish in the state, home of the second largest Army training range in the country. It's called Fort Polk.
Yep.
It occupies about 250,000 acres of our parish that the Army has taken from us in good faith for lots of reasons over lots of years. But anyway, that's where I live.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in the Biden administration, as best I'm told, someone decided that Vernon Parish would be a good place to have a massive location for carbon sequestration. Now, whatever word you want to use on it, it's fine. It is not going to be storage. They're talking about sequestering it, and they're calling it the Central Louisiana Carbon Hub. And nobody in Vernon Parish knew anything about this. I have seen documents where it shows 4 or 5, maybe even 6 different waste streams of carbon that is pulled off of industrial processes or out of the air and then injected below the ground in my home parish. And there's a lot to that, what I've just said. That's a whole hour's worth of discussion, but that's kind of where we are. I am a believer in people being able to make their own decisions and choosing for themselves. And what I would love to see happen is to allow for parish governments across this state, whether it's a parish president or parish council or police jury, to decide if they want that business activity in their parish. And that's what I brought last time, and I got run over in the road like a sleeping kitten by industry. I got beat like a baby seal in committee trying to get that done. And I will try to bring it back this next time because I believe that citizens and parishes should be able to decide what happens in their parishes, not state unilateral action.
So, and you took 3 different swings at this. One was Vernon Parish specific, one was Beauregard Parish specific, and there was one that was basically flatly saying each parish got to determine their own path.
Correct. And the Vernon and Beauregard, by the way, I represent Vernon and Beauregard. My home is Leesville, home of the Wampuscats. So those were my backup options. My first one was to make it statewide, to get a state perspective for any parish that wants in this to say, yes, we want in, or if they don't want to vote, they don't vote on it. But what if a parish says they don't want in and the citizens say we want it? You may have closed-minded parish councils or police juries who don't want this, but you may have some enlightened citizens who think they want it. I was just trying to gravitate to what we do in Louisiana. It's called subsidiarity. It's federalism at the state level. And we've got that tradition in Louisiana where we let our parishes mind their own businesses to the greatest degree possible. And yes, the statewide one was first. A few weeks later, I did the parish ones in a different committee. Same result, same bloody nose. But we're going to bring it again next year, both of them, all of them.
We're talking with State Senator Chuck Owen about the
representative.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. State Representative Chuck Owen.
That's okay.
I promoted you. Sorry, State Representative Chuck Owen about his takes on carbon capture, usage, and sequestration. When it comes to the carbon capture and sequestration specifically, I know the bills you proposed were very narrow in focus to make it parish by parish, but specifically in Vernon, would you be against it?
I am waiting on the science. At the moment, I'm against the idea of needing to bury carbon at all. I think it is a fool's errand. I think burying carbon was initially created by the environmentalist leftist crazies who thought that carbon was changing the environment. Now, all of that discussion has been abandoned. And the only thing we're talking about now is capturing this to get money. So I don't believe the science is completely vetted. I reject the idea that we've been doing this for decades. We have been using buried carbon to jerk oil out of the ground.
Right.
But we've never permanently sequestered it in Louisiana. We don't know what's going to happen here. And we surely don't know what's going to happen if we put 5 or 6 waste streams in the same spot.
Wait, talk about the waste stream for just a quick second. Define what that is.
Okay, imagine the decision is made. We need to capture the exhaust coming off of an oil or gas facility because we think someone thinks that exhaust may be harmful, and we need to catch it, not let it get in the environment. And they put it in a pipe. They move it several dozen or scores or hundreds of miles, as in the case for us, and then they put it in the ground. That is waste, no matter how you look at it. It is an exhaust that dissipates in the air, but when it gets under the ground, it is a waste. I've been told by geologists once they put it in the pipe, it becomes a waste. And so imagine an oil and gas one from North Louisiana, let's say Haynesville Shale. Then they take them off LNG plants in the south in Lake Charles. And then we got wood pellet refineries around us who are doing it. It's all different types of waste coming together under the ground in the same general vicinity. Never been studied, never been analyzed, and certainly never been done. So on that point alone, I'm against it.
Okay.
On that point alone, I am against it. But I am for my parish police jury deciding it. And if my citizens don't like it, let them decide.
Okay, so I wanted the clarification on that because the term waste stream doesn't make it sound like it's contained, and it's contained in a pipeline. It is waste and it's being streamed, but there is still a containment part of that equation.
There is no containment below the ground in Vernon Parish. And listen, when we were sold this by Senator Hewitt and Public Service Commissioner Couson, they told us, and you can see the tape, Brian. They said the vision here is to capture this exhaust, to capture this carbon, and to put it back in former oil reserves or basically entrapment areas.
Right.
Now, it was buried in the words that you could put it in rock, and that's what they're talking about now. They're not putting it in former oil reserves in Vernon Parish. We don't have any such thing. They're just sticking it in the ground, and there's no definable trap space. That's why it's a concern.
Okay. The way I understand it, I don't understand enough to regurgitate, and I certainly don't understand enough to stand at a podium and debate anybody on it. But it's pressurized once it's down there, right? There's a natural there's a natural pressurization that's going to hold it down. Plus, it's I'm going to get that super liquid term wrong too, but the form that it goes down there. But I want to go back to what you were fighting for, Representative Owen, and that is when it breaks down parish by parish. Would there be concern of crossover from parish to parish? For example,
well, there should be. Yes.
Okay, so if, like, let's say the folks in St. Helena Parish want to have carbon sequestration, but the folks in Tangipahoa Parish don't. There are the argument that it's not as secure, not as safe, not as contained. Anything downriver from where you are, why wouldn't they have a say as well?
Well, that is a debate that's worth having, and we tried having that in the committees because no, this stuff is not contained by imaginary lines. But that I feel like Davy Crockett on the ledge of the Alamo. I am fighting for my people, and I'm fighting for this moment in time because my people, best I understand, summarily don't want this. My Representative Shamahorn and I, who both share Vernon Parish, polled this about 9 or 10 months ago. My poll said 93% were opposed, and his was 86% opposed. So I am trying my best to stand up for the people that I represent. Now, those numbers may change. I understand there are people who are doing shows or not shows, but they're having events around the parishes trying to explain the safety to various folks. And look, I welcome that.
Yeah.
I welcome everyone speaking up and trying to make this case. But I do not welcome this being summarily shoved on us.
You mentioned about Fort Polk originally, because I know that's a big part of this story. Y'all have history in Vernon Parish that's going to bleed into this argument.
We do, and I appreciate you asking that because it's very important to us. And I said this in committee. My citizens are raw because in 1940, and that's a long time ago, okay, 80 plus years ago, the United States Army came knocking on the doors of 800 citizens in Vernon Parish, and they said, the United States Army needs this land. You have 60 days to vacate your farm. And if you want to take your wood, you can take your wood with you. In fact, tear it down. So they left crops in the field. They left animals in the field. These were people who had just come off the Depression, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
They were thrown back into poverty when they had to relocate from places like Peason over to other places like Evans, towns most people have never heard of.
Yeah.
But the Army told them to move, and they told them to move because fascism was on the rise. The government needed the land. People could grasp that. But now we find out that there's possibilities that oil and gas companies could possibly come and take people's lands, maybe not that much, but an easement. But taking any of their land is a raw issue where we live. We have given it to office. We've given now 250,000 acres to the Army alone. Kisatchie National Forest is a large portion of that's in Vernon. They've got about 80,000 acres. Our citizens have given it to office. And until someone can really describe to my citizens or anyone what public good this is, it is an uphill challenge.
As far as the learning curve is concerned, I mean, how much is being done in Vernon Parish to hear from all sides?
One of the companies that's doing the capture side has finally come to town. Well, they've been to town,
yeah.
but they are going around. They are having not public meetings. They're having small gatherings where they speak to people about their plans for this. And it is like I said, I am never against the dissemination of information. We must speak to each other. We shouldn't scream at each other, but we need to speak to each other. So some of that is going on right now for the first time. The problem really began in 2022 and 23 when they dug a test well there. And I don't want to say surreptitiously, but the letter of the law was followed, but not the spirit of the law when they advertised that a Class 5 test well was being put in, and it was advertised in a non-existent newspaper, basically. And the citizens looked up and went, what the heck's happening here? So we started making phone calls, and sure enough, a Class 5 test well was being done, and there was really no public notification. I wasn't even made aware it was being done until after, everything was in the ground. And so we got kicked off in a bad way. And so people are very skeptical. They're very concerned. They want to be briefed in on what possibilities are. And look, if it's just one test well, that's one thing. But all this information we keep getting about these various waste streams that they want to come in. Look, I've seen the maps, and I'll show them to you, Brian, where it shows basically maps from around Louisiana and even the country are all centering up in Vernon Parish. And the citizens need a say in this.
I asked this because I genuinely don't know the answer to the question. Did the test? Well, this is good. Love the phrasing here. Did the test well?
I don't know. I think it passed the muster that needed to pass. But it's one point in the ground where they go down and they find out if the geology at one point in the ground. This one's near a community called Simpson, which is kind of between Leesville and Alexandria. At that point in the ground, apparently it did okay. And then the next step is to go into Class 6 permitting. The concern with just putting it at one place in the ground is that the geology around Vernon Parish has been beaten to death over 80 years of constant bombardment. The Army drops thousands of pieces of artillery, air-delivered bombs, and static munitions every year there. My house shook on Friday from an explosion that took place 20 miles away. And when Natural Resources came to town a few months ago to have a modicum of a public meeting, their guy that was briefing it acted like he wasn't even aware this goes on. So the ground shakes here constantly, the air shakes constantly, and it is a risky proposition unless it is studied sufficiently. And that's one of the things I'm lobbying for, Brian.
Yeah.
Is to make sure you get the science right. Whether I get my desire for this or not, we better make sure we get the science right, because once this stuff goes in the ground, there's no plan to get it out. It's not like it's going into a well reserve. Not like we're going to go in there and pull it out one day. It's in the ground, and there's no definable trap space, so they don't know where it's going to go.
Well, the discussion is not over, but unfortunately this segment is. He's Representative Chuck Owen. Man, I appreciate you hopping on board this morning and really bringing your position to light, because it's a lot more. What you're pushing is a lot more specific than what a lot of folks are. You've got a narrow angle, and that's how you attack something, is by having a pinpoint. So thank you so much.
I challenge anybody that wants to debate anytime. Thank you, Brian.
Always. We'll talk to you soon. He is Chuck Owen. We missed Your Money Now by a mile. We'll come back and close it out next. Dude, that was fantastic. So the only point of, well, if I were to break away a couple points here, what we're going to end up doing here is we're going to build another big city in Texas. That's the long and the short of it. The problem I have with the parish by parish thing is you add a level of bureaucracy to it. Nobody's land is getting taken over through eminent domain on this. It's a different beast altogether. But it's hard to tell someone who's seen land get taken over through eminent domain that it's not going to happen again. A kicked dog will always flinch. You got cuts 7, 8, and 9 here. Let's go. I have no idea what the punchlines are going to be, but we're going to have some effing fun. Ow! Shit, Byron. Ow! 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 Oh, God, I cramped so hard. Oh. Oh, shit.
My eyebrows raised when he said jerk off. Jerk oil out of the ground. And I was like, whoa. Easy there.
Oh, God. He is way too good of a politician. Beat like a baby seal and jerk oil out of the ground.
That's one way to put it.
857 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Thanks again to Representative Chuck Owen for hopping on board. Thanks to everybody who's hopped on board today. Talk 107.3 is your new home for Ken Trahan's original Prep Football Report. Get live in-game updates, full statewide scoreboard, check-ins with correspondents from every corner of the state, and more. Friday nights this fall from 6 to 11 p.m. It all starts Friday, September 5th, right here on Talk 107.3 FM. I'm loving where that's headed, y'all. We are going to be your home for high school sports on Friday night, and I could not be more excited about that. Got a question for you. Oh, crud, we got 2 minutes left. Why do we still have area codes? Hey, starting today, you heard the news from Louisiana Radio Network. Starting today, the 318 is going to have to dial 318 plus the other 7 numbers when making a call to an existing 318 number. That's because the new 457 area code will begin next September. Public Service Commissioner Foster Campbell says the 10-digit number is necessary to distinguish between the 2 area codes.
People get used to it, but it is inconvenient. But it's nothing we can do about it because we have too many people in 318, so they had to change it. You dial 318 and the number now.
Okay, but like, if you're going to add a new area code, shouldn't you create an area for it? Basically, if you live anywhere in North Louisiana, you're going to be 318 or 457. It's not an area code, it's a time code. It's a time code, it's a chronological code that tells you when you got your number. So starting on September 25th, newly assigned phone numbers in North and Central Louisiana will have that 457 code. Campbell says to prepare for the new code, people with the 318 need to dial all 10 digits.
It's going to be a pain in the seat a little bit, but we'll have to get used to it because that's what we got to deal with.
It used to be the state had 504 and 318, and that was pretty much it, right? And then you carved off to have that 337. No, you carved off to have the 225. And then you carved off to have the 985 and the 337. You're not carving anything on this one. It's just jackpot. It's no longer an area code because you got 2 within the same area. And it's all based off of whether or not an operator is going to connect you in the right place. Operator, hello? All right, we got to get out of here. Moo Griffon's coming up next. We will be back at it tomorrow. Already got a full slate. We'll see you then. Chuck Owen was way better than I thought he was going to be. I really thought he was going to like foghorn, leghorn the whole thing and like just be full on country politician. And I say that with respect because he's a great orator. I've seen him on the floor of the House, and I don't know why I called him senator. I thought he moved over. Anyway, I've seen him in action, and I watched him 2 Fridays ago at Legislator talking with this scientist woman from ExxonMobil and just telling her what's what. And she's like, not my end of the building, Hoss. I know what I know. I know rock. No rock structures. But I mean, he's really, really good. But I thought he was going to go a lot more preachy.
Yeah. So
the fact that he was as laser focused and pinpointed as he was is going to serve his argument well. Oh, absolutely. And who was it that said, dude has actual points other than we don't want it?
I think Matt, yeah.
You know, that was Matt, yeah. So, I don't know. Good on him. I'm still on the other side of the argument. And I'm still on the other side. And to which he'll say, that's fine. Let your parish do it. Okay. But while we have to sift through that level of bureaucracy, what's going to end up happening is Texas is going to win. I know this because Morgan City is not Baytown. And New Orleans is not Houston. And if you rewind the clock by 40 years, 50 years, that's the comp. Anyway, we're getting out of here. We'll see y'all.